It's loading. It's loading. We may or may not be streaming now. So in case we are, g'day, battlers. We might have to ask everyone here to give it g'day, battlers, as they introduce themselves, maybe. But today we have a wonderful cast of characters, and we're going to meet all of them in a quick second. But first, I just want to say that today we're going to be going through the Commander Cup. Each one of us is going to be going through one of the 10 commanders, as well as Matthew Brewer, who is he'll appear a little later in the stream. And yeah, today each of us is going to tell you why you should pick one particular commander, and by the end of it, we are going to determine, just figure out which is the one commander that we should all be using after this stream. Everyone is mandatory, has to use the one commander. Just everyone in the entire Silph community. It's going from 10 to 1 in about 2 hours. So with that said, we do have I can confirm that we are streaming. We are live. So one thing that I will do is now get that link, and we'll also make the tweet to be like, hey, we're here now. So you're allowed to come in. But in the past, I've said that we could introduce ourselves alphabetically because I thought Zoom auto-ordered it that way, but that is not the case. So, I mean, I'm just going to start with, I'm going to go the way that I can see it on my screen. Actually, no, we'll go the way that it's showing up on stream. So first is Amanda. Do you want to tell us who you are, where you're from, and which commander you're going to be talking about today? And
sure.
Yeah.
Good day. That was not very good, but that was a decent attempt. That was a good start off, just so everyone else feels better about their fake Australian accents. So I am Amanda, or Lundberger in the game. I am originally an American, but I moved over to Belgium, and I've been in Belgium for the past couple of years, and I am part of MyPvPAcademia. And we are another Silph content creating channel alongside Steve. And the commander that I have chosen is the best commander out of all of them. Not even arguably, it's just kind of a fact, and that is Shiftry. Anyone knows who's played Shiftry in any cup that thing is a 2-shield king. It can take down things that it shouldn't be able to take down. And in this cup, with a Hypnos running everywhere, it's going to hit it really hard with the foul plays. It's going to hit Jellicent.
Don't spoil the lead too much. We'll meet everyone.
Let's just say it's time to get Shiftry.
Don't accuse me of trying to shut down Shiftry combo because it was sounding too good. But next on the stream roster is the one, the only, the SosaFlo.
Oh, sorry. Polishing my helmet over here, or my trophy. I don't have a championship trophy, but g'day, battlers. I've always wanted to do it on your stream. I'm SosaFlo with TeamRocketPvP, also TeamRocketAcademy on YouTube. We do a bunch of Silph learning on our YouTube channels and on our Twitch channel on TeamRocketPvP. We host Friday night fights where every Friday we have battlers duke it out for a fun game. And then on Saturday and Sundays at 10 o'clock, we got the Indigo League, where the top 6 professional or battling organizations battle it out in a fun league that we've got going on. It's our week 3 going into it this week. So we're really excited. We got E4, we've got Mazer Gaming, Regicide PvP, Cool Cats, and Thunder Lions, and Poker Battle Tower. So that's what we do at my channel. I'm so excited to be here. My leader, commander, is always the Alola Marowak. He's been such a safe spot for me all through my season 1, and he's ready to command in this cup.
Fair enough. And Spleen, who I've been told to just say Spleen, don't even attempt the name.
Yeah. Good day, battlers, or should I say bonjour, battlers. So just like Amanda, as well, part of the MyPvPAcademia channel, where we are trying to cover Silph content, PvP tips, trying to, just like I think everyone around this table, try to help the community out there to grow, to improve their skills, to improve their matchup knowledge. I'm both French and Portuguese, so hence the accent here. And I'm going to cover Empoleon, and I'm going to show you why you should pick the Penguin as your commander in this meta.
Understood. And I think in the middle, we now have the jiggliest of dads coming to us from the Twitchiverse, able to make the crossover into YouTube successfully here.
That's right. I don't really exist here. I am JigglyDad. I hang out on the Twitch. I've been doing that for little bit longer than most folks, but I just kind of sit there and do my crazy jiggly thing. And unlike the rest of you, I think I exist to try and make the rest of you feel better about your Silph battling abilities by showing you what not to do. And but despite that, I am firmly convinced that my man Munchlax, the most unassuming of all, with that little ridiculous hat, is still going to be the best commander for you all. Do not let any video evidence of my performance last night sway you in any way whatsoever to the contrary, because Munchlax is the man. Yeah, if you want to get any tournaments in, live tournaments, we do them quick. We did a practice commander last night. We do Silph tournaments every Wednesday night live on stream. And I try and keep up with what's going on with the Silph PvP community on Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Central on Between Two Bellsprouts, where we just try and keep up with what is going on in the community. And I do a lot of nonsense in between, including some singing, which will be coming back soon. And yeah, Munchlax for the win.
I was wondering if you forgot what time you streamed yourself there, Jiggly.
Oh, you know, yeah, it's early for Jiggly right now. My boomer brain has barely got my oatmeal in my stomach. So, you know,
sorry,
I'm just
early for you. I'm just looking at the time here. It seems to be 3 a.m.
3 a.m. is a beautiful time to be alive. If you are nocturnal and you are American, JigglyDad is your guy.
I was gonna say that's not early. That's called late for us. We're usually still up.
This is going to bedtime. This is the other way around. But then we have the last of the trio that makes up MyPvPAcademia, CountXevious over there with no cam because we didn't want to see his face. We saw it and went, nah.
Turn that camera off.
It's unfortunate people do not like pretty faces. So unfortunately, I'm not going to say good day battlers because I see Margin is not on the chat and he was going to pay me for it, so I'm not going to say till he pays me for it. All right, I am CountXevious. I'm part of the MyPvPAcademia trio. I'm here, actually, I am living in Belgium, but I'm from India and currently in India, which explains lack of video, as PvPC pointed out. I'm here to talk about the only commander you should really be considering and the one that beats both Munchlax and Shiftry very convincingly, Noxal. It is an amazing commander and very bulky for a bird.
We'll find out later for sure. But then going over to the bottom left, we have Stumpy, the other one rounding out the Aussies in the stream. Also had to get up very early, but
3 a.m. Yeah, no, so I'm Stumpy. I am, like Steve said, another Aussie battler. So g'day battlers, and don't have to fake the accent there. And I'm just a sort of small Twitch streamer. Thankfully, Steve's asked me to come on and say a few nice things about my boy Jellicent, or girl Jellicent. I think I'll be running the girl form of Jellicent, but I think that's just about it, to be honest. I'm ready to plug myself here. I think that's about it.
I'll make sure everyone is sufficiently plugged by the end of it, and you can take that however you would like.
But yeah, this is early, so
we'll get there. We'll get there, buddy.
We'll get there. Give me an hour. We'll be good.
But Tangent, a man that I have had on stream many a time before, but I will still require you introduce yourself every time, regardless. So you can just like play a video of you doing it like the same one every time. Pre-record it.
Good day, battlers. I'm Tangent from Ottawa, Canada. I am one of the meta analysts from Dose Stadium. So we do like some PvP graphics and some articles. As a matter of fact, we had an article that was just published 9 minutes ago.
Oh man, you didn't get me a chance to read it.
Well, it was a bit of a secret, but it's been posted now. It's all about Swablu Community Day. You can read up all about it and find out how Moonblast Altaria can perform in the Great League and Ultra League meta.
Is that confirmed yet, or is that still?
That was confirmed officially 10 minutes ago.
Right. I follow now.
Yeah, I'm here to defend Steelits.
And defend is the right word.
Defend is the right word. I feel like people are underestimating what Steelits can do for them. But also, I like the idea of the contrarian bit here. I like the idea of something that everyone's casting aside.
And speaking of casting aside, last but not least, Adelian landing in the wings with the. Actually, I was going to say the final pick, but we still have Matthew Brewer, who is not even gracious with his appearance. But Adelian, who are you, my friend?
It's all right. You out of the two British folk that you've had in here, you've got the better one on camera, so it's all good. Well, I'll let the viewers decide in what way that is. But folks, well, first of all, g'day, battlers! Right, and now, so my name's Adelian. I am a British content creator on Twitch, and I'm also the admin for London's Finest, the largest PvP collective for the capital of the United Kingdom. And I'm also admin for Northwest All-Stars, who are the hosts of the Liverpool Battle Tower, a British Silph guide, a Ghost Stadium tournament manager, and there's probably one or two other things I do that I can't actually remember. So, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And for my commander pick, I'm going to be going for Bronzong, the Steel and Psychic type, and with its new additions to its move set, it's looking like it's going to be a particularly strong pick, and certainly have a few surprises just because of the versatility of what is it actually running, etc., etc. So I look forward to speaking a little bit more about how awesome Bronzong could be and why it's a very worthy contender for your commander pick.
And Adelian coming out with the full resume. He had it pre-prepared. He wasn't missing anything. That was his entire existence. That's my
entire CV. In fact, that's literally all I've got. Just those 3 lines. Send it for jobs. Anyway, yeah. I digress.
Haven't got one yet, but one accept, I'm sure. And then number 10, who is not going to be joining us today live, is going to be Matthew Brewer, who is another great UK that switched to a thumbs up. Oh, yeah, another great UK battler. I'll give him the full plug at the end of the stream, or when he kind of makes his appearance.
Sosa has a sketch.
Oh, Sosa does also have a sketch, so we can essentially be here in person through Sosa's illustration. That just bring it a little closer. There he is. There's Matthew Brewer.
What a beautiful face of Matthew Brewer you've got there.
I think you've done him a bit more justice than he deserves there, Sosa. But he's going to be defending. Is probably the best word for Poliwrath again. We'll get to his video when we get there. But for now, I actually need to mention that I will be here. G'day, battlers. I'm PvP Steve. I'm cool. I've got a cool hat. And today I'm going to be telling you why Escavalier is the premier pick to be using as your commander in the Commander Cup. But with that said, we've got all 10. We've got people rolling in here. So I think we can finally get started unless anyone has something really pressing to say, in which case feel free to jump in. I'm happy to be interrupted at all times. But
I definitely have one thing to say. JigglyDad, you ran a tournament, right? What commander won the tournament? What commander was being run that won the tournament? Starting us off, before we even get into our defending of Poliwrath or talking about why Bronzong's so great, which commander won it?
You're gonna make me go back and actually look. I was busy running my battles, my last round battles, while somebody else was running theirs. I know that it was.
Was it Mr. Dr. Pants?
No, it was Vakitis. Vakitis was the winner. And let me get my link up. Jeez.
We can keep going, Steve. But if we could find out that answer of who the commander was that won in your pre-cup, right? That would be cool.
I feel like fun. I feel like I might know the answer to this one. I did watch that stream back. Actually,
this is not a setup at all.
This is not a setup. I'm literally curious because I want to know, like, who right off the bat before we even get to, because we're a week before the game, or 3 days before they shift into, and we actually get to the real Commander Cup practice or real Commander Cup battles and stuff like that. What is practicing? What's winning in these practices? How's the meta going to be shifting? Like, this is really interesting stuff to learn right now.
I think
the answer is Jellison.
Hey, there we go.
Wasn't even a setup.
I thought I was waiting for AWAC there, surely.
No, I thought it was Escavalier. I thought Escavalier because I saw Mr. Dr. Pants.
Because it's so good.
It's so good. But yeah, Jellison. That's a really interesting one. All right.
Okay,
Mr. Dr. Pants didn't even run Escavalier.
He was boasting about it. I thought that was on
His practice tournaments, he's trying out all sorts of commanders. I'm sure he'll come back to Escavalier in due time.
Try all 10.
All right, that was my say.
So we actually got some usage from MyPvPAcademia from a lot of the practice cups that have already gone on, and the overall usage highest has been Munchlax. So
Makes sense.
take that, JigglyDad.
Well, JigglyDad was running those numbers for himself. He was just like, that's why he's running tournaments every week, just so we can get his Munchlax numbers up.
He's just like, see how everyone is running my pick.
But
little known fact, YTX was in my original Go Stadium lobby, and we go way back. So yeah, YTX is right in my back pocket. So we promise we didn't fudge the numbers.
Pinky swear. But yeah, Amanda, you did start off before with your you started the spiel, but now we'll let you go full ham. Tell us why Shiftry Shiftry may be the best commander to be used.
So yeah, like I kind of stated before, I think if you give, obviously, if anyone's played him before, they realize that he's pretty frail, but he hits really hard and very quickly. So with both of his fast moves, they charge energy very quickly. So if you get one or two advantage, then you can throw off a charge move. And even if it's not something that's very effective, sooner or later they're going to want to shield, because he can really throw off so many charge moves that it's going to definitely hurt. And also, while we're going over the usage, is not the highest on the usage, but he has the highest gold usage. So he's only been chosen, say, 4 out of 100 times as commander, but the percentage of people who use him is the highest. So put that in your pocket.
A fair play. Everyone's got their little badges they can put in their own mon. But yeah, Shiftry is definitely a pretty, it's always good. No matter what cup that shows up in, Shiftry's going to be able to do some pretty heavy stuff, especially in a meta that's so heavily, there's so much psychic and ghost. Foul play is really nice to have, and a lot of resistance as well. But does anyone else
not a lot of charmers, although theoretically maybe if you could run a charm on your Alolan Ninetales, but I think usually in this meta, Ice is still obviously going to do a lot of damage to Shiftry, but the charm is usually the big problem, and I don't see many Pokemon running it.
Yeah, I can't imagine many would go for charm. I guess there are a few fighters, but one of them's Toxicroak, and he's got a poison typing as well, and it's you could probably just go Powder Snow, because then you can also get to Psyshocks if you want, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So you do have other ways to kind of getting around it. And I think 2 of the fighters in this cup, Escavalier and Sudowoodo, don't even care about charm necessarily. Obviously, it's still a really good move, but it's not as super effective-y as you'd think, I guess.
We can always use the Legion strategy. Save 2 shields for the charmer at the back, and you will win. So,
theoretically, it is a kind of dangerous thing, because people always overlook the charm users at the beginning. And then, if you take the Prismatic Cup, for example, everyone kind of overlooked and then realized that Whimsicott had a 60% win rate. And then said, oh, maybe that's something that should be on my team.
That was after the Flygon party early on. Everyone was like, oh.
Wait a minute. And then, Wiz got rocketed straight up to number 1 on PvPoke. It was
I built a Flygon and then didn't use it because I was like, oh.
Maybe if you used it in a early practice tournament, then it might have done some good there. But by the time it got around, Whimsicott was way too everywhere.
I used it in practice in the 30-second meta, and it was ridiculous. But then everyone was running Whimsicott, and I'm like, nope, no thanks.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That one. That's why I waited early Prismatic, because my team got smashed my Whimsicott further. As the more and more the month progressed, it just went terribly wrong. But anyway, we digress.
Is anyone else having to say on Shiftry before we move on to the next pick?
I'll just say this key things before we move on to the next one. If you're looking at the ones that Shiftry beats, I am on PvPoke looking at it. So he beats Munchlax, which is the number 1 commander pick so far. So if you're kind of looking for something to counter the other commanders, also beats Jellicent, Hypno, Marowak. Well, that depends probably a little bit on shielding on both sides, and Empoleon. So take that, Spleen. But it will lose to the Alolan Ninetales, the Escavalier,
We will speak later. We will speak later about this Empoleon against Shiftry matchup.
After this stream, my PvPAcademia is breaking up.
Duke it out.
No. Actually, I really do like Shiftry as a commander pick. I haven't decided which one I'm going to run, but Shiftry is a very interesting pick. And as we were talking just before the stream, you have the option to run it with Bullet Seed in this meta. If you don't want to go with Snarl, that could be a surprise. I think that a Hurricane Shiftry as well could be a huge surprise factor because it's nice to have foul play, but with Hurricane, you take all the matchups you are supposed to win with foul play. Plus, you have a huge nuke. So I guess this is really the kind of picks I like when you look at the opposing line of 6 and you don't know which moveset the player is going to run. There is this surprise factor that could influence the first game. And you know how Silph works. If you win the first game, you halfway to the overall victory. So really, personally, I really do like Shiftry.
Yeah, I know brajSF, the creator of PvP and Me, is a huge Hurricane Shiftry stan. They'll be running it every opportunity they can. I don't really know about it in this meta. Like, I feel like both the grass and the dark is really giving you what you really want. Ditching foul play in a really heavy psychic ghost meta seems very scary. Even if Hurricane will still take him out, it's still a lot further to get there, and you're really hoping they don't shield.
Yeah, but I think the good thing with Hurricane.
I think you could get away. I think you could get away with Hurricane without Leaf Blade because the water typing is so scarce, right? You're only looking at commanders of Jellicent and Empoleon there, and then down at the bottom, like Lantern or something else. So maybe the grass isn't such a prominent aspect there. You can get away with it. Once again, depending on who the battler is. If Lundberger wanted to make a Bullet Seed Hurricane Shiftry, and she knows that she's going to be weak to a fighter, right? She can throw a Lantern, cover the Shiftry with the water gun, and or do, whatever she needs to do on building up that energy on Bullet Seed. It all depends on the battler and how they play that battle out. So I love the fact that Shiftry having that community day with that Bullet Seed boosted it into having it so it's one of a semi-Swiss Army knife, like Spleen was talking about. Usually everybody's running Snarl. Like 95% of the people doing Shiftry are running Snarl. But the 5%, they could be running that Bullet Seed, or even worse, Razor Leaf. Like, you don't know. So you have to make mentions of all the moves. I think Hurricane could get away with murder if you know how to work a team around it.
If anyone ends up using Razor Leaf for some success, let me know.
Snap that. Immediately send it. TeamRocketPvP on Twitter, please.
Yep.
I want
Post that on
spice.
Twitter straight away.
I want that to see that spice. It's so good.
Ridiculous. But Sosa, do you want to take us away with the next commander pick, the fire spinning bone-headed dude thingy?
The bone daddy of them all, Marowak, a Alolan style. That ghost Pokemon, I absolutely do. So we all know Alolan Marowak back from season 1. We love this thing. It got fire spin, which gave it actually more energy preservation and all that stuff. So people are really comfortable with it. I'm picking it not to go against the commanders. I'm picking it to go against the rest of the meta. And here's why. Because it takes on the rest of the meta. And everybody's like, oh, Shadow Ball and Marowak. No, I'm keeping my Marowak at Shadow Ball, and I'm taking you out if you do not shield your Hypno. That Hypno is too scary in this meta right now. It's everywhere. I don't want to just cover it with only Muck. Like, I want to be able to get stuff off that I can do it. And that way I can get whatever I can to build around my Marowak to help take out these commanders. Because let's face it, you're not going to see all 6 commanders all the time. So you've got to plot out which Pokemon can handle what commanders here. Well, I know a counter user like Toxicroak, who's again season 1, comfortable with a Alolan Marowak, great pairing, can handle that Empoleon, can handle that Escavalier, can handle pretty much everything except for Jellicent. So like loving that combination right there between those two makes me feel real comfortable about having Marowak as my chosen commander, because now I can build a team that doesn't really hurt me against the rest of the meta. It actually makes me focus on making the player choose their commander wisely. That is my saying on that. It is Alolan Marowak, the bone daddy of them all, baby.
Even though Bone Club is a very poor move, just always like it is.
Yeah, that's
a
real
move.
question. So are you boning or are you balling?
Oh, I'm bone clubbing. I am baiting you. So it's Bone Club and it's Shadow Ball for sure. And I know you guys are like, oh, Bone Club is so bad. But at the same time, everybody's headset is if he gets to 6, he's going to throw Shadow Bone. I can either take it or whatever. Throw his Bone Club, throw him off guard. Like we're a lot of people. And this is what we do for learning and what I do at YouTube on my YouTube channel is it's not about what the Sims tell me. It's not about what the meta tells me. It's about what I'm watching here. If everybody's bringing Munchlax, I'm loading in a counter user. If everybody's bringing Jellicent, I need to bring a grass user. If everybody's bringing Hypno, my poison typing is out. Like these are things I do when you build around it. So I do the bone so that way I can make sure to get those shields. So that way my other guys just play around with it because I think this commander is so good. And I love that Bone Club. He's the bone daddy of them all. Shadow Ball, Bone Club.
Fair enough. Does anyone else? I feel like
counter me,
personally.
please.
I used to be more of a Shadow Ball man, and even when Shadow Bone first came out, I was like, I still really like having Shadow Ball for that nuke potential. It's really nice. But as time's gone on, I've really kind of moved towards that Shadow Bone just for that more consistency, I suppose, with Marowak. Because like when Bone Club is such an atrocious move, it's really you really want to try and get some damage off elsewhere if you're not in a matchup where Fire Spin's doing super effective, and getting to the Shadow Bones just that little bit quicker can definitely help out in that regard. Obviously, because you have Bone Club, you can use Bone Club as a bait, but then you are becoming a bit more bait dependent, I suppose. So it's about that consistency in my mind, and it's not like Shadow Bone's still going to do some nice stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That debuff is always beautiful when it procs. Love that debuff.
Something interesting as well on Marowak is that it's one of the 3 only fire types user that you have access to in this cup, alongside with Cargo and Delphox. So if you are looking for, let's say, a fire new user, it's a bit the way to go for you. And then you only have like other mons, for example, Rose Raid or Hypno, that have access to fire coverage. And if we, I assume that Steve will cover that a bit later with Escavalier, but given the raw power of Escavalier, I think that having fire coverage in this meta is going to be it's going to be key.
Yeah, jumping off that point, I think it's more for me going Bone Club is I don't really see a point in this meta. Yes, of course it's a bait move, but that's exactly what it is. But in this meta, I think you have a little bit more function if you're running Shadow Bone Fire Blast. You take on most of the tanks with Fire Blast, which is nice. Which is basically one of your biggest problems, I guess. And you can also, let's say, if you go up against a grass type like a Shiftry, you can always shield one's farm down, and you're good to go there. And in more cases than not, I think Shadow Bone is going to be more energy efficient than Bone Club, because Bone Club is not the best of moves. You don't have stab on it, and I think if there is any meta where you want a little Marowak to have that big nuke, this is the one, because look, you have really hard walls to a little Marowak. You have the Munchlax running about, which you really don't want to see, and with Bone Club you barely tickle it. And then on the other hand is my commander, which is not Sal. if you run Bone Club Shadow Bone, you don't do anything to it, and that's something that you definitely have to consider. When you have hard walls, you need to find a wiggle space to make sure that you hit them and it hurts and they want to shield, or you just get run over.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of that, actually.
Throw that shadow ball on that hard wall Hypno and then get that out of the way. Also, another one you want to watch out for too, Frostlass. I'm not muted. Okay. No, that's absolutely a great point. Fire Speed, Fire Blast, definitely working, especially with that Steelix and Bronzong commander out there. But you definitely make a great point. There's so few Pokemon out there right now that have that fire move or a fire typing asset charge move that can really do something in this cup. And you kind of want that because Alola Ninetales is out there. Everybody's going to have it. It's been so great. All this GBL. Frostlass is out there as well in that back line. And no one's really mentioning that right now, but I feel like Frostlass will definitely pop up as an energy preservation, hitting with those avalanches and throwing those shadow balls, because a lot of us know how to play it. And Frostlass with any extra energy can just take away an entire line of 3. So that's another reason why I'm going more with this fire type Pokemon as my ghost type, as my commander.
Fair enough. And moving on, we have next Spleen. You Arctic up next. You've got a penguin. But yeah, tell us why Empoleon is the way to go.
So I'll pay a tribute first to Matt Brewer by saying that it's Pokédex number 395. to start, first of all, as an introduction, I will say that it's the second meta in a row where Empoleon has some play and really looks like a slippery pick. I mean, in the Prismatic Cup, it was in the blue spot, but overall people prefer to go with Lantern or with Quagsire, Kingdra, Rainy Castform, or Tangros, despite the Penguin having some nice play due to, let's say, his dual typing Water and Steel. If you look at the core meta of this cup, in the one shield, Empoleon beats 2/3 of the meta. And it jumps up to 75% with 2 waterfall advantage. In the 2 shields, Empoleon is going to beat 60% of the meta, and in the 0, 58% of the meta. So why picking Empoleon? First of all, as I was telling before, you have the water seal typing. This offers you 11 resistances and only fighting, ground, and electric as a weakness. Especially, I'm going to tell you 4 of those 11 resistances: Psychic, Rock, Ice, Poison. So what do you directly think about that? That's 4 out of 5 typings allowed in this cup. And then yes, it's weak to grass, it's weak to fighting, and it's weak to ground. Ground, it's, let's say you have the Hydro Cannon that still hurts on ground mons, and for grass and fighting, you have access to Drill Peck. So basically, you have a coverage against most of your threats. And we could say, for example, that against grass type, it's a very harsh fight. But for example, the Venusaur matchup with 2 waterfalls advantage, you pick up the 1 shield. Against the Shiftry, actually, it's a very close matchup because it's a CMP tie. So if you sneak in a waterfall, or if you come into the matchup with 1 waterfall advantage, you can flip this matchup. What I like as well about Empoleon, it's like, let's say, it's good potential matchups against other commanders that are going to be, let's say, all the other steel types. You beat Munchlax because basically you resist the body slams. You beat Noctowl. You beat AWAC. Sorry, Sosa. And you are somewhat a good wall to what we expect to be the most common picks in this meta. You resist the confusion from the Hypno, from the Gallade. You resist the Powder Snow or the Charm from the A9. Basically, you resist the sludge wave from the Alolan Muck. Against Lapras, depending, you resist all the charge moves of Lapras. Against Frostlass, you resist the Avalanche. And even some of its supposed to be counters, you pick them up in the one shield. For example, you beat Sudowoodo, you beat Cradily in the one shield, you beat Alolan Golem in the one shield. So in a nutshell, basically, your only lose are in this meta against other water types. Poliwrath, I'm not expecting a lot of Poliwrath in this meta. Jellicent, you lose hardly to Lantern, you lose against the grass type, and you lose against the bugs with ground coverage, Beedrill and Escavalier. There are only in this meta really two bad matchups for Empoleon. Those are Toxicroak and Escavalier, because they can just one shield farm down and just have like almost 100 energy or 100 energy and then blow up your backline. But in the zero shield, those are super close matchups. I mean, it's a CMP tie with Escavalier. So if you succeed to have like one waterfall advantage, you pick up the zeros against the Escav. Toxicroak, it's a bit more complicated because you will need two waterfall basically to flip the matchup. But still, I mean, even if you are locked in, you will force a shield with the Drill Peck. So overall, I will say that it's a very versatile pick with some coverage against its main threats. And I will just conclude with this raw data. Do you know that Empoleon picks the two shield against Emolga? So that's just here. That's a funny thing. And just like Lundberger told earlier, I mean, I looked up as well at YTX Pikachu early data, and Empoleon has a 5.4% usage and is present in 15.4% of the winning teams. So a bit like Shiftry, not a lot of people are running Empoleon, but the ones that are doing so are winning, folks.
Can I ask if they're winning because nobody knows how to handle the Empoleon or knows it yet? Or are they winning because Empoleon's just really showing dominance?
That's a good question. But I mean, Empoleon is if you have used it in the Great League, you know it's a bit squishier than Ultra League. But you have the nukes, you have the coverage. I mean, I didn't look that much into potential spice in the moveset with Flash Cannon or with Blizzard, or because I do believe that Hydro Cannon and Drill Peck is the way to go here in this meta. But it's a very solid pick. And as I was saying, if you have like two waterfall advantage, so I mean, you swap in your Empoleon, your opponent doesn't know what to do, then you picked 3/4 of the meta. So that's huge. And this includes Shiftry, it includes Venusaur, includes Roserade. So I mean, really don't sleep on Empoleon. And even if you don't pick Empoleon as your commander, be prepared to take it down.
Yeah, be prepared by bringing Escavalier. But I do want to say, I did some battles with Stumpy.
Oh, here we go. I was waiting for this story.
Using Empoleon, and I think it was Empoleon up against Venusaur. Was that the matchup?
That's exactly what it was.
That was the matchup that it was. And Venusaur can tank a Drill Peck, but my Empoleon happened to have Blizzard, and Blizzard from Empoleon
didn't tank that.
Yeah, Venusaur can't take one of them, so that's a bit of a. Empoleon's definitely got some other spicy movesets that you could potentially run as well if you've got Blizzard going. I don't think there's too much that Ice really hits.
Drill Peck just gives too much coverage. I think Drill Peck. I think since you got Drill Peck, it's changed it completely. Like Ultra League, it's just like I think after Ultra League now, it's just everyone's starting to see it's got some cross play into Great League, even though it's less bulky. Like it's been said, it's just now that people have been exposed to it in Ultra League, they've gone, oh, maybe this can work in here, and it's just providing so much. Like I said, that was a good sort of breakdown of Empoleon and how much, especially a safe swap. I wouldn't have thought of it as a safe swap potential for this cup, but now it does look like a reasonable pick, but you do have to watch out for some of the walls like Jealous and those sort of things.
Yeah. Since Matthew Brewer isn't here, I would like to point out one of Empoleon's biggest counters is Poliwrath. I mean, yes, you're talking about counter users, but you're ignoring the other fighter in the building, which is Poliwrath. It outpaces Empoleon to the dynamic punch. So in all even shielding scenarios, it's a really, really bad matchup. You get destroyed by Poliwrath as an Empoleon. Yeah. So if they have a Poliwrath, do not safe swap an Empoleon.
Yeah, contain the drill pack as well, right?
You've been muted, man. No one's listening to you. You're muted. Calm down.
Let's also not forget
I mentioned it, Abby, and indeed, but still, what I really like about Empoleon is the coverage you have. I mean, even if you are facing the Poliwrath, as you are mentioning, it's a hard loss, but you still have the drill pack to threaten it. I mean, so it's always. I mean, it's really a very versatile pick with coverage against its main threats. And we were talking about, I mean, like the Escavalier, but the Escavalier doesn't want to tank a Hydro in the face. So even like that, even in an unfavorable matchup, you will be able to force shields.
Mm-hmm. I was also going to say there is a harder counter. I would say Lantern is the hardest counter you need to watch out for, because Lantern resists absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And Lantern's probably the strongest electric pick, and electric's one of the sort of the 5 core types. So I would expect to see a lot of that. So, I mean, as a Steelix person, I'm all encouraging as many of these Spark Lanterns as we can possibly get to take out these Empoleons. But yeah, that's probably the thing you're most afraid of, because I saw an Empoleon, I remember, in Prismatic Cup, and it had a Lantern, and it was just like the match was just over the second the two matched up with each other. It's just like Empoleon can't do anything.
That's even worse than like Lantern and Talonflame, right? Like that's just
it's about equally bad.
At least Bravebird drops his defense, so it gets out of there quicker. But I think that's enough penguin chatter for now. We can move on to
one more point. Only Hydro Cannon user. The only Hydro Cannon user in all of this cup. No other Pokemon has the Hydro Cannon. I think that, like you were saying, is great because of that shield pressure. So if you like that shield pressure, I think this commander is absolutely a great one. So only Hydro Cannon user. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, for sure. But I think I keep having to look over to what the stream is because it's completely different on my Zoom. But JigglyDad is actually next, who's going to try and defend that lovable little ball that did not bring him success last night.
It did not bring me success, but I will say that I was grateful to Mr. Dr. Pants for pointing out to me after the fact that it can, in fact, win against Toxicroak with a bait. So what is everybody afraid of if you've got a Munchlax? If you've got a Munchlax, there's Toxicroak out there everywhere. Those are the counter users of choice, it seems, based on early data that I have seen. And so just play your Munchlax more straightforwardly. It is a great lead. And if that is what you see in the lead, you've still got a way to overcome it. It's not going to be reliable, but you're going to be able to overcome one of its hardest counters. What is out there that is on everybody's team? Everybody's team has a Hypno. If you don't have a Hypno, then you have really put a lot of time into constructing a crazy team, or you just haven't thought about it at all, because Hypno provides pretty much some much needed coverage in this field. And what can do better against Hypno than a Munchlax? Not much. You can just sit there and just farm it with Lick and just be like, yeah, I don't need to throw anything at you. I'm a Munchlax. How many people have Munchlaxes? Honestly, I think that they are probably amongst the hardest ones to come across with good IVs. With the list of commanders that we have right now, they have not really been in the egg pool a whole lot recently, and you have to trade to get good IVs. So if you've got one, this is your chance to flex it. And if all these people are running it in early data, then I'm going to guess people are not investing in crappy Munchlaxes. The people see the power of the Munchlax, and they know. If you're new to Silph and you are just looking at PvPoke, it's sitting there at the top. What more information do you need? It's sitting there at the top. We all know number one is always better. There's no nuance to these things whatsoever. It's just better. It beats the AWAC that Sosa is so in love with. I mean, everybody loves their AWACs as well. And also AMOC. It's like we're starting to see, at least in the early tournament that I did, a lot of similar teams. We're seeing a lot of Hypnos, a lot of AMOCs, and a lot of Toxies. It starts to build into a very semi-predictable confined meta, and maybe that will evolve. But when you look at those three, you've got outs against all of them, and you're not so super afraid about much but the grass and that Escavalier. But there's a reason it's at the top. In the confined meta, the wins are a little bit more narrow, but I think that's if you take out most of the commanders in the confined meta, it does pretty well, and it beats the aforementioned Jellicent. I didn't get a shot at Jellicent last night, so if I'd gotten a chance at Jellicent, maybe things would have turned out differently. But Munchlax for the win, cute factor, baby Pokemon. I mean, who says that babies should not be entrusted with authority?
I think the baby point is probably the greatest point that could be made. Like that, just thinking about that is awesome. That is awesome. Like, you just got beaten by a baby Pokemon. How do you feel? But I do really think that Munchlax is a seriously top pick in this cup, because like I keep going back to it, but there are so many ghosts and psychics, and Munchlax just being able to just laugh in the face of them. Like, so many of them can just do nothing to it. They can just lick, energy, body slam, spam. It's not like the spammiest of body slammers, because lick isn't the fastest of energy generators, but it can get to them still pretty fast and pack a pretty hefty punch. And that bulldoze for coverage, it's a really crappy move, but obviously, as you said, it can flip that.
Yeah, I wish that the matchup against Lantern were a little bit better, but as you said, Bulldoze being a pretty crappy move kind of prevents that from being the case. But you get yourself in a tight spot if you're able to line it up properly. The Bulldoze still gives you coverage against something that's extremely prevalent in the meta, and so I mean, you got that as well.
Is there anything in this cup that completely doesn't care about Munchlax? Because I don't think so. Pretty sure. No, AWAC. Don't say AWAC.
I was going to say Crustle. I was going to say Rock Smash Crustle. I really like Crawdilly and Crustle. I know, guys, I am crazy. I am insane. This is why I'm telling you. Bring your stuff. Bring your waters. Bring your Munchlaxes. I'll bring my Crawdilly for that Lantern. I'll bring my Rock Smash Crustle for all of your Munchlaxes. Like, the rock typing is what I'm talking about. It's out there. That Sudowoodo is out there too. That's a great one. That could be a hard wall with that rock side as well. So yeah, just throwing that out there. You're talking about how Munchlax is so good.
Yeah. Are we talking Smackdown, or are we talking just Rock Slide? There's no Rock Smash on Crustle.
No.
Yeah.
What's his moveset?
Smackdown and
Fury Cutter or Smackdown? Okay.
I get Rock Throw and Smackdown confused all the time. Like, Probopass has Smackdown or Rock Throw, and Marcargo has Smackdown and Rock Throw. But I'm saying the Smackdown there, giving those extra chunks, right? Giving you that extra damage if it's a safe swap or whatever. You can kind of snipe it. You bring in that Crustle to snipe in to take out the Hypno with some X scissors or whatever in the back. Hit on those dark typing that's covering your ghost Pokemon, or that's coming after your ghost Pokemon. That's why I really like that Crustle. But I mean, Munchlax definitely, like, you kind of have to look at these bug Pokemon for some of these commanders, which is why Hypno is kind of like the worst thing out there right now for all of our commanders, because it literally just takes out all of these fun Pokemon that could really play and you can really have some fun with against things like Munchlax that has, what did you say, a 90% win rate against this meta?
That's the Hypno. It's a rank 1 Hypno. But JigglyDad did point out the matchup against Jellicent, but that's just because Jellicent is running Bubble Beam. If you run an Ice Beam Jellicent, you let's say you force the Munchlax to throw the last Body Slam, and the Munchlax is left with 5 HP in the zeros, which is kind of cool, I think, to be honest. If look at it this way, Munchlax is good, but none of its moves hurt Jellicent. Bulldoze is neutral, but it's a shit move. So in the end, I think Ice Beam is the way to go. I think a lot of people moved towards Ice Beam in the cup where Jellicent came to prominence. A lot of people ran Bubble Beam Shadow Ball, but then found out the hard way that Vigoroth still ended up beating the Jellicent. So I think Ice Beam is the way to go. It also does have a very, very good threat and coverage against Pokemon it loses against, which is the grass types. So personally, I would run Ice Beam. And against Steel, you're definitely going to have to Shadow Ball, but Shadow Ball still does quite a bit of damage. So
CountXevious jumping in. He's not even up yet. It's still Munchlax hour.
He's not even Jellicent Commander. Get out of here, guy.
What's the thoughts on Munchlax on Gunk Shot as a closer? It has struggles against, like I said, the main matchup struggles against, I guess, Roserade and Shiftry both beat it. So would as I think closing power with Gunk Shot could be potential as well.
Does it give you that much though?
You give up a lot of steals, like Empoleon and Ailith are now like really hard. So
yeah,
I think
and I think in the closing scenario, going straight Body Slam is more energy efficient than trying to get to the Gunk Shot. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, we're talking about hard counters, but I know this is another commander coming up later, but Noctowl is probably your hardest counter to Munchlax. Like that's sort of the purpose for Noctowl as a commander. It's really bad against a lot of the concentrated meta, but like that's that. And I would also sort of want to mention about the Toxicroak matchup, because that one was referenced. It's really important in this meta, if you're running a Toxicroak, to have some sort of an attack stat to it, because there's actually a counter breakpoint that's really important for just making sure that you hard beat a Munchlax. And if something like 10, 15, 15 is probably more what you're looking for. If you're running like a ranked 1 Toxicroak, that's where the bad matchup with Munchlax can come in.
I'm not checking my Toxicroak stats.
And another thing about Toxie, is this is the biggest problem Toxie has against the Munchlax. Because in the Zero Shields, if you have to win, you need to throw the Sludge Bomb. But if you do that and the Munchlax shields in the 1 shield, Munchlax wins. If you go straight Mud Bomb, as you're supposed to do it in the 1 shield, Munchlax beats you in the zeros. So it's messed up. So Toxie is not a Munchlax counter, according to me. Toxie is like, am I going to throw this and get lucky? If not, oh shit.
And even in the 1 shield, you are what, I think 1 leak away to lose the matchup or something like that. So definitely not a counter in my opinion.
Everybody here has looked away to beat your Munchlax, JigglyDad. That's what we're saying. You asked us, and we all come in here to tell you what beats your Munchlax.
That's right. They're trying.
I will say this though about it. In order to win the Zero Shield, Munchlax has to throw a Bulldoze, which usually probably would leave it in sort of a farmable range. And from my experience, Munchlax almost always goes Body Slam first and then tries to throw Body Slam second. So that's just something to keep an eye out for as well. But it's definitely like closing scenarios where everyone's out of shields. Yeah, you're probably that's where the Bulldoze, that's where the Zero Shields now come into play.
Yeah,
Sosa's taking notes.
It's like, it wins the Zero Shield, but it has to throw a move that it like never throws in a shielded scenario. Like everyone just
how else can I beat a Munchlax?
And that's again where the attack stat of the Toxie comes in, I guess, because if you have a really good Toxie, you don't do as much counter damage. Especially if they have a decent IV Munchlax, it can go straight Body Slam for the win if it has 1 lick advantage, which is insane. Because you probably get 1 lick. You have a bad lead. It's an Empoleon. You throw in between the waterfall. You have like 3 licks. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh yeah, Toxicroak's not a hard counter for sure. It's definitely a soft.
But Empoleon into Munchlax is not a bad lead.
I do want to point out that even though there's lots of like kind of methods going around about how to beat Munchlax, I think the important thing is that Munchlax can get away with all these scenarios. Like, it's such a sort of versatile little dude. Like, it can kind of get up in anywhere, and it's causing some havoc. You have to worry about this thing wherever it goes, kinda.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's more about Munchlax. You need to study the matchups. It looks like a fun Pokemon, but you need to study the matchups. You need to know which one to play the zeros, which one to play the ones, and which ones to play the twos. For example, I think it only wins against 22% of the meta. I'm not sure, but we can check in the zeros, which is not great. But then it moves to around 80 in the ones and stuff like that. So you need to learn a lot if you're using a Munchlax.
Yeah, it's not a close. It's in the league or a safe spot.
Are you really going to leave a baby Pokemon without shields? What kind of monster are you?
I've seen people leave a Mew let a Mew take all this stuff with shields, and it's just so sad to see a shiny Mew just go.
JigglyDad, it's called survival of the fittest.
Oh,
dear. You can't stop our JigglyDad's fathering instincts. It just has to protect the little guy.
That's right. There's a Papa Snorlax waiting around the corner to beat you down if you beat down a shieldless Snorlax or Munchlax. Jeez.
Snorlax is probably sleeping anyway.
Yeah, talk about bad
priorities.
It doesn't roll on you in its sleep instead. Simple as.
Yeah. But I think we'll move on to the next commander from the ever mysterious Xevious, who is not going to be talking about Jellicent, despite what you may have thought before. Tell us what we should be using.
Well, it depends on your playstyle. The commander I want to talk about is Noxhel. The goal about using Noxhel is not winning Switch. It's throwing it in there, letting it tank moves, and then giving you the Pokemon left in a position where you can farm down with another Pokemon. Because if you look at its matchups in the zeros, it's exactly like Munchlax. It only beats 22% of the meta, and that's garbage. And in the one shields, it's 50%. So it's not great, but the goal of Noxhel is to make you in a position where you can farm down the Pokemon that it's done dealing with. And if you look at all the commanders, save the steel types, everything else loses to Noxhel. Munchlax loses to Noxhel. Both the fighters, 3 of the fighters loses to Noxhel. The grass loses to Noxhel. Jelly loses to Noxhel. Alolan Marowak loses to Noxhel. What's the other ghost that I'm missing?
Jellicent?
Hypno.
Hypno.
Is that a ghost?
Hypno's not a ghost.
Sorry, I was thinking of
commander.
No, you have
you're talking about
Gengar and
Gengar's not a commander either. We're not just talking about the commanders against each other.
Yeah, you're talking about commanders, and now all of a sudden you're like, what's the other ghost? I'm like, well, the Jellicent's the only one.
No, I'm not sure if I ran out of commanders. That's why I was asking. So other than the steel types, it does very well against all the commanders in the cup. And it's not like, let's say, okay, it's a neutral matchup. It's absolutely dominant matchups. And that's something Noxhel is going to give you. If the opponent is not using a steel type commander, Noxhel is just going to wall their commander. And like Munchlax, for instance, it can just sit there, make you have you lick at it for like 5 minutes and still win that matchup. So that's what it gives you, Noxhel. And you should also look at how the meta is going to evolve. Yes, there are rock types and there are Pokemon that are going to, let's say, absolutely destroy the Noxhel, but you still have play because of the bulk. A rock slide from a Sudowoodo, for example, does not kill you. A hydro cannon from an Empoleon does not kill you. You're still going to hit them back, and that's basically your job as a Noxhel. You go in, you're a punching bag. That's about it. And once you get done punched with, you put the opponent Pokemon in a place where it can get farmed down. For example, if you have a Credilli in your team, it's one of the best Pokemon to pair with a Munchlax with a Noxhel, because Bullet Seed farm down, a loaded Credilli is just you can't beat a loaded Credilli in this meta, even if you're running a Fire type, because it has access to Stone Edge and it will destroy you. So it's how you pair Noxhel with, and that's why I really like this in this meta, because you have counters, but you want them to counter you. That's basically how you're going to use the Noctowl.
Interesting play style, saying that your commander just is bad, can't win any of these matchups.
It's brave. It goes out front and it takes the bullets.
Yeah, that's what a leader should be. So he's just being a good commander.
Exactly. A leader makes your team win. That's the goal.
Abi, did you look at Ice Beam Jellicent matchup for the Noctowl? I'm just curious to.
It wins the one shield.
Yeah. Ice Beam non-stab. So you don't take any damage from the hexes. So you still pull up ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, Noctowl's a really interesting one where it can seriously soak so much. Like, you're really adding that third shield onto your lineup just by bringing that one Pokemon. It's not, like, again, it's not really dominating any matchups here or there, but it's kind of like
AWAC, really.
Yeah, AWAC, and it does pretty good against Shiftry, but as I found out the hard way, foul play.
It dominates Jellicent, a little Marowak, Shiftry.
Doesn't dominate Jellicent, does it?
742 on PvPoke.
Yeah, it does. What is it called? What else? Munchlax absolutely destroys Munchlax, takes on all the grass types and eats them up. It's just the steel types. That's the only thing that you don't want your Noctowl matched up against. Steel and electric.
What about when you refer to steel types with Escavalier, the recommended movesets, Drill Run and Megahorn, both of those are resisted by Noctowl, but the counter obviously is neutral. So would you say there's also some play to be had in you can actually farm up quite a bit with Noctowl on Escavalier and accept that you're going to tank a charge move or two, but it's not going to do too much, and then just wipe out the Escavalier at your leisure afterwards with the sky attacks, and then have something in the back have some energy in the back to throw a final sky attack on whatever comes in and then duck out or let it go. Does that work? Would that be the way to play it with Escavalier? Against Escavalier, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I would do, because I think you can get it to a point, like, for example, I think it takes 7 counters to get to a Drill Run and 8 to a Megahorn. So you can farm up to 8 CMP tie the Megahorn, throw a sky attack, and then it won't kill it, but it's never going to get to the next move. You can farm down for another sky attack, and you can definitely either Nightshade, whatever comes in after, or Psychic, whatever you like. But it is a very, very good mon. I mean, it is basically what a commander should do in a meta.
It's an interesting one. It's kind of it's in the middle. It's in the middle.
It's like an anti. It's like an yeah. It's very anti-meta in many ways. So it's going to be one where a lot of the players are going to just struggle to deal with it because it's got such unique matchups with different things. And yeah, I think I've been in a few practice cups and I have struggled against Noctowl specifically because early team building means you've got a gaping hole somewhere, and Noctowl was that gaping hole, and it is not pleasant. So definitely, even though granted it's not going to do well against some of the meta, it's the presence of Noctowl within the commanders is going to force teams to have at least something, can justify having an electric type or a rock type, or indeed the ice types as well, justify having at least one of them, so otherwise you're a sitting duck, unfortunately.
Exactly. And another thing is, whenever I ask somebody to use Noctowl, they've always done well. Example, Statisan, I forced him to use Noctowl in Prismatic Cup. He did very well, except in the showdown where he benched Noctowl and went 3-4.
My only loss in Prismatic was to a Noctowl. My only hard loss to Prismatic was Noctowl. That's because I didn't pair up my Rock Throw, or is it Smackdown on Caracosta? But that was Noctowl is so good. You guys are absolutely right. It's Rock Throw. But yeah, you're right. Not that flying type. It's definitely forcing you to ice ground and.
Yeah. I did win a Prismatic with Noctowl, but I only used it in one single battle. So, you know, I don't know if I can really get the credit there. Bench pressure, maybe.
Did you use it? Yeah,
pressure.
were you using it to draw out like a fire type Pokemon that you use some water type Pokemon to just annihilate with? Like, did you have a lantern that followed it or something?
Quagsire is the other bloke that I was packing around.
Nice.
Did all right.
And last thing about Noctowl, Lundberger used it for his showdown team, and he won. And he won 20 out of 21 games.
So CountXevious here is going for the strategy of, hey, Noctowl used to be good in this other thing, so it might be all right now.
And the best player in the world can use anyone properly, so.
Noctowl is good in every meta that it's ever been in. I don't remember any Silph meta where Noctowl was bad, ever.
That's because no one's really paying attention to Noctowl.
What?
I'm gonna tell you right now, if people are really paying attention to Noctowl, rock slides are coming, like the metas shift into like a rock, right? If the flyer is so dominant, then the meta shifts into like a rock or an ice or something like that. Some of these cups, Noctowl hasn't been so prominent, right? It's always been like a Hypno or something like that, where most people are focused on how do you cover like the Hypno or the Vigoroth Mantine core, right? And then all of a sudden here comes a Noctowl and you're like, I had grass. No, right? Like that. I think that's you are absolutely right. I'm not trying to take away from Noctowl. I'm just trying to let you know right now, it's maybe because that Noctowl is not so highlighted as a potential threat in a lot of battlers' minds. Maybe all of our minds, because we've all got hit hard by a Noctowl. But some of the other battlers who don't really see a Noctowl maybe in their 3-round regions or their 4-round, small regions ones, Noctowl actually is great. So if the meta starts shifting where everybody's bringing in Noctowl, I'm already seeing Frostlass in cast form number 9 and 10 now on PvPoke. I just expect the meta to shift. I mean, Noctowl is so great. That and Empoleon are going to be the 2 meta shifters, I feel like, in this cup. I feel like Noctowl is going to force the meta to shift just like Empoleon is.
I'm saying Escavalier is going to be the only meta. That's it.
Okay, so then do you run Rock Slide? Do you give up that Bug Buzz and do you run Rock Slide?
Escavalier doesn't
give
have.
up Drill Run?
I don't think it has any rock coverage.
No,
I don't think.
No, it hasn't.
No.
It doesn't. It hasn't spray Lace and Drill Run.
Aerial Ace, Drill Run, Mega Horn.
Do you give up Aerial Ace?
Acid Spray. Acid Spray everything.
Acid Spray everything. Acid Spray with counter on that neutral flyer. Yeah, it's not going to hurt, but it could turn your soft loss into a soft win, which then your Pokemon, which comes in with all of that extra energy that got that soft win, can nuke whatever in the back. I'm sorry, I'm over planning. Sorry.
I'll tell you now, it's not going to work.
I mean, if you really overlooked a Pokemon that's a flying Pokemon that can beat Azumarill in the one shield, and I'm talking about Ice Beam Azumarill, then it's your fault. You have been warned here. I mean,
it is a very bulky mon that you really have to be prepared for. But we'll move on to the next pick after Spleenlejeune.
Before you do, Josh in the chat is asking how Noctowl does against the rest of the meta, because it does fine against the other commanders, but they're just these few picks.
Yeah, there's only going to be one on a team.
I'll be kind of answered, but it does really well against the fighters. It does really well against the grass. It beats the commanders that we already talked about, and it goes toe to toe with Hypno. Although with Fire Punch, it's a little less. I think Hypno will probably end up losing. Although Nightshade is a really horrible move if you choose to do that one. It can tank an Avalanche if it's full health. Just in a previous cup, there was no health left on a Frostlass. I had a ton of energy, and I was like, Nightshade, this thing's going down. Clearly, it's a ghost type, and I was like, that did so little damage that a Sky Attack probably would have been better on the Frostlass. And then
100%.
Sky Attack is always more energy efficient, except I think Nightshade, it's only for the Bronzong.
There has to be 2 stages of like resistance effectiveness difference. So Sky Attack has to be resisted, and Nightshade has to be super effective for you to want to use Nightshade. Like Bronzong is one of those cases. But I have certainly learned that the hard way myself as well.
Yeah, I was so mad at myself. I was like, could I have won if I just threw the more energy efficient move? Maybe I could have got to 2.
Probably. But now we move on to have a look again. It is Stumpy coming here with the Jellicent type. telling us there's two flavors you can use as well. So
yeah, Jellicent's I've just jumped straight in, Steve. Let's get over there and just talk about more Jellicent for. I think this is more. You've got to look out for realistically from all the commanders. Munchlax and Shiftry are the two worst matchups. Yes, Noctowl. If you're running Hex, Noctowl is not great, but Bubble does actually close in that matchup up completely. You don't lose any matchups that you wouldn't lose, or that you don't have to give up any matchups too close in that matchup up. So I think Bubble, I'd argue, is going to be more useful if you're looking for a commander killer, to be honest. Apart from that, across the board, I haven't actually done my research too bad against the wider meta because I've really focused on the other commanders, but only losing really badly to Shiftry and Munchlax, and then Noctowl can be evened up if you're running Bubble. Dominant matchups against things Bronzong, Marowak, Escav, and Polion, Steelix, and Poliwrath aren't an issue for Jellicent and can pretty much, in some cases, wall a lot of those Pokemon. So Poliwrath, Escav in particular, are pretty rough matchups. Empoleon's rough. And poor Sosa, Marowak's not got much play there either. A little bit of worry with Shadowbone, but it does actually still pretty considerable win. And yeah, I said 2-minute spiel. I don't know how I can compete with some of these spiels. I just don't know if I was underprepared for this. But yeah, I just think that Jellicent, such a diverse Pokemon. You've got Ice Beam coverage if you really want to, put some pressure on that Shiftry. Things like that, Shields Down does a good chunk of Shiftry being a little bit glassy. It does. There's definitely pros and cons to each moveset. That's what I like about it. So if you got the Hex, I feel like Hex, again, like I said, haven't really looked across the wide. I think Hex maybe across the meta was probably a better moveset, but I do prefer Bubble, I think, for this meta in particular, especially because, like I said, Noctowl, I can't see there being as many Noctowls as good as the talk of Noctowl was. I can't see Noctowl being the most common of commanders with some of the other options we have here, like Munchlax, Shiftry, and Escav as well. So I wouldn't sleep on Jellicent, though. I do think that, like we said, we had one, was it JigglyDad? You had a Jellicent commander victory in your one last night?
Yes, we did.
So,
and I don't know what moveset I was packing either because I was too focused on my own battles. I think that they were running Ice Beam. That would be the way I would go. But I think that for consistency's sake, that's always my preference. But the Bubble Beam obviously has the debuffing.
The troll factor, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing worse than shielding a Bubble Beam. So it definitely does open some play for that as well. If you do prefer some sort of baity matchups and stuff like that, it does Bubble Beam does definitely have its spot here, but like I said, Ice Beam makes it marginally better against Munchlax. The Munchlax matchup I think was mentioned earlier that you can you can borderline force a shield or force them to throw. So there's definitely more pros I think to Ice Beam, but I said I can see any moveset sort of working for Jellicent. It's very diverse, and I think it's going to be. I think a slept on pick. I think because I think Shiftry and Munchlax are probably going to be two of the more common ones, and I can see that that'll definitely deter a lot of people from using things like Jellicent. But wouldn't sleep on it, and I'll leave it, up for debate now with you guys and what your thoughts are on Jellicent.
One thing I do want to add on is that Jellicent is one of its best features is the fact that you don't know the moveset going in.
Yeah.
In that show 6 bring 3 sort of format, you really have to kind of guess if it's got this moveset, it's going to be really bad for this pick, but if it's got this moveset, then it's going to flip to like a really good matchup, and you just don't know until you actually see it. And then even when you see it, you'll see the fast move, but you might only see one charge move, and you can maybe figure out, okay, they haven't thrown a Bubble Beam at my fire type, so they probably don't have Bubble Beam sort of deal. But you don't have to reveal your cards straight away, and I think that's a very strong aspect and can really force a lot of shields where shields may not be required, which is always a very nice thing. Or surprise factor, like just be able to land some big Ice Beam through when they just weren't expecting Ice Beam whatsoever. It's very versatile and very nice in that regard.
It's going to be tough in this. I think with a lot of I can imagine with the Hypno being so sort of prevalent as well, I can see Alolan Marowak. The Alolan Muck matchup isn't good, so you don't want you can imagine a few Alolan Mucks floating around as well, especially with Hypno and then Jellicent being an option there, and Alolan Muck like being that strong sort of safe swap and doesn't have too much. There's not a whole lot that's really going to punish, I guess. A Muck has got a lot of good coverage stuff like that as well. So Credillia as well. I can see Credillia being a pretty common pick as well. So there's a lot of things that Jellicent has to look out for, but I do think that definitely has its place in as a commander and definitely a deserving spot, I reckon.
For sure.
Gengar and Haunter are hard walls to hit if you're looking for outside ghost typing. So that's interesting that those two, I mean, you don't really see much of them with that poison typing that they have. Those confusions will chunk, but if, like we were saying, right, it depends on how you're building your team as a commander and whatnot. If you have a commander that's weak to Jellicent, like got me, and I want to throw, also have a Gengar and Haunter in the back as well, maybe force that Jellicent to take the bench or have you bring it out. That could be fun. But there's some interesting dark moves against Jellicent, but there's really not much that pretty much does it. That health on your Jellicent's so thick. He could take a hit. Or she. When I first saw Jellicent on the thing and it was pink, I was like, oh, do we only have to use a female version? I don't have one yet. But it's both, and that's great. But the health on Jellicent could actually work in your favor for switch clock and all that stuff too if you play it right. Like, it's such a great, strong Pokemon. I mean, I don't care that you light me up with Jellicent. Like I told everybody, Munchlax for the rest of the meta. The commanders are for what the meta brings in. So I love Jellicent. It's actually the second ghost I was probably gonna use it. Sorry, I like that one. It's so fun.
I'll say it. I'm not a big fan of the fact that the sprite has to be two Pokemon. Like,
well, it's annoying to look at, isn't it?
I get that they're completely different. They look totally different, but it's just like they're so small. It's all the other Pokemon are big and blown up. It's like, can we just like pick male or female version if we really want? That sort of deal. But that's my piece, and that is why I refuse to use Jellicent. There's no way I'm using these small little sprites. Or maybe I will, just to be annoying on the other end.
Steve, aren't you working with Silph now? Change it.
Whoa. Steve doesn't have power yet. He just got the hat on.
I have no power ever. My voice means nothing. Speaking to a void. But yes, I'll change it immediately. Let me. I'll draw an infographic about reasons why there should only be one sprite of Jellicent. Coming soon to a YouTube channel near you. But
before we leave Jellicent, I just want to say you go straight Bubble Beam, Ice Beam. You just skip Shadow Ball altogether, and you beat Noctowl for the win, right? I mean, that's
snap! Here comes the Munchlax coming after that Noctowl commander when he came after him with the Jellicent. Oh!
No, I mean,
you'll be shocked to know that I didn't put that in the Sims.
If you just want to go after the Noctowl, it makes sense. But
we're just going straight after Noctowl. Noctowl is
for that one viewer that has a passionate hate for Noctowl. That is the moveset for you. Don't worry about Hex, don't worry about Shadow Ball. None of those ghost moves are required. Don't need any coverage. You don't need to worry about anything. Just don't worry about that in Polygon. That's all right. You don't need any coverage. Just go for that.
There's no.
I can't believe I've just simmed this.
The meta.
I've just run it, and it literally loses doing Polygon and Bronzong now.
Yeah, you don't do anything.
It loses those.
Hi.
I mean, if Sosa's going to earnestly
Noctowl.
If Sosa's going to earnestly defend Acid Spray on Escavalier, I think I had to at least meme defend the no Shadow Ball on that.
Because we all haven't lost to a hard win because something procced on us and lowered our defense or boosted their attack, and that fast attack took that small health. Like, come on. I don't think it's going to work. Don't use Acid Spray on your Escavalier. It is such a garbage move. Don't use it.
I know. It beats Shiftry, by the way. Bubble Beam, Ice Beam.
Bubble Beam, Ice Beam. Okay.
All right, guys. Jiggly started something. When's your next
I don't think it would beat it though.
It does.
Using the jiggly sim.
Well, I said if we're going to rely on Sims, we're relying on Sims. It does.
In all shifting scenarios?
I dare say no.
I feel like I looked this up.
For science, I'll look it up.
Okay.
This is the Jiggly Jellicent build.
This is the line.
Just wait. It's going to take the commander coming in the storm.
I won't run it, and Ethan will go crazy.
You see the panic? You see the panic among all these guys? Just because I mentioned Noctowl? This is the chaos Noctowl does for you.
Wins the 0, wins the 1, loses the 2.
Aha!
Interesting. So really going to force a Shiftry to use 2 shields, are you?
But you will give up an Empoleon matchup, and Bronzong. I can't believe I'm actually considering that.
Just wait. It has well and truly started something here. But Tangent, I feel like you're a man that is always up on a variety of movesets. You've got a lot of knowledge on your thing. Is the Jiggly moveset the way to go? Is that the correct moveset?
Bubble beam, ice beam. I think. Well, the thing is, I think it has merit. It's not how I would run my Jellicent, but it's true. It does pitch up some weird wins that otherwise would have been not possible. So, like, it's true. You can actually beat Shiftry with that, which is like you can beat grass types with that, which is just really weird. Is it Bubble or Hex? I can't remember which one was.
I ran it with Bubble. I didn't bother running Hex because we hate Noctowl. So
yeah, we just
really don't like Noctowl. So and we only just beat Noctowl still with that moveset. So
yeah.
Has an owl wronged you in the past?
I wish all of you have to win all your games in your tournament except the last one where you see a Noctowl.
Stop. I'm going to hold the phone. So, Escavalier against Noctowl. If you solo only Acid Spray encounter and 2 shield your Escavalier, you win in the 1 shield, you win in the 2 shield with 30 health and with 26 health. So just letting you guys know, Escavalier with Acid Spray, if you're willing to sacrifice being your Escavalier like that to just beat up on a Noctowl, I say go for it, buddy. I say go all for it.
Well, here's the fun part. The Noctowl does not have to shield at all, and it will still take 2 shields of you. I don't think that's a win.
But you can then flex that you've beaten a Noctowl with an Escavalier. So who's the real winner here?
Yeah, that's a Twitter post right there.
That is a Twitter post. I think we have a guest arriving shortly, Steve.
Oh yeah,
a guest arriving. Uh-oh.
Yeah, someone's decided that the drawing that SosaFlo's put up is simply so unacceptable. His stomach is literally curling at the thought of that representing him. That he might actually make an appearance. Depends whether you can squeeze him in while on.
Just chucking over Sosa's face as revenge.
Yeah, let's just refer to him as SosaFlo for the entirety of it as well. You'll love that.
Chuck him over count, to be fair.
Yeah, we'll see if he pops in. We'll change to the other screen where it should.
Oh no, he's arrived. There we go.
He's in.
Oh. Yeah.
Is
this when we have to be nice to him now?
No.
I think quite the opposite.
I won't say anything that you said earlier. It's fine. You'll just do it for me.
It's all right. It's nothing he hasn't heard before from me.
Yeah, exactly.
If he doesn't come in here and start trash talking a Noctowl, kick him immediately out.
Very true.
On the Noctowl stuff and all that stuff, we were talking about Jellicent as the commander and everything like that. It's a great commander and that stuff. But like we were talking about as we're getting Brewer to get back in, literally we're having fun with these movesets here. And we want you guys to try these out. Like, absolutely. I will definitely try out Bubble Beam, Ice Beam, because I fear that Shiftries are going to be a thing. I have to dig for my fire. Maybe Fire Punch Hypno might come in, but that's the beauty of doing all this, having these movesets. And just a nod to Niantic for giving the Pokemon now different movesets that are more valuable, right? Instead of just always being like, okay, it's just this Shiftry. This is what it's running. Like this moveset, Alolan Ninetales with that Charm or that Powder Snow could really be a huge factor on people's teams. So I just love that Jellicent pick and how we're all just the fact that every one of us are like, yeah, Bubble Beam, Ice Beam, and Bubble will beat Shiftry and Noctowl. And now I might be thinking about running Bronzong. Like this is so much fun. So thank you, Silph, for this fun aspect while we wait for Brewski to get on here.
I do like the idea. I do like the concept of this meta, to be honest, the commander style. I've never seen anything sort of like it. And I actually do think that it's now feeling, after last month and this month, it's starting to feel like it's gone away from the GBL metas. Sort of to try to attract those, get some crossover from the GBL players that haven't really experienced Silph like people that played from, early season 2 sort of had before live sort of tourneys went away. So I think it's good now to start. Hopefully you got a few people in with the sort of, early metas that were G-Fisk heavy and, sort of felt more like GBL RPS. And now it's sort of starting to feel like a bit more creativity sort of available for the people that were all sort of Silph purists, I think.
Yeah, I know I had a talk with Krydos a few months ago, and he was saying that, the first section, the first portion of the season, split up by that January break, was aimed at that sort of GBL thing, and now they are going ham into the more team buildy, custom-y sort of fancy little metas.
But as like Silph, like if you're from Silph's perspective, it actually is quite smart as a business. If you're looking at it that way to try to get more players in, it is probably the way business-wise you should go. As much as I think the real Silph purists didn't like it, I think it is the smart. It was a smart thing on their part to try to get some people across.
Yeah, I thought.
I have to ask, did you use the phrase Silph curious?
I was going to say that. We've got a new identifier.
I was like, what a beautiful term. No, I might be a little Silph curious.
No, purist. I can't.
Oh, you're a battler? Are you a Silph purist, or are you a Silph purist? I only GBL. Go battle lag. Wow.
There's definitely something out there.
There is.
There's a lot. I mean, that's, yeah.
This calls for a spin-off video right here. We need a self-curious dating site. So you're on it. Let's go.
Absolutely. Are you self-curious? Have you battled before in a live tournament? Did you only get into battling because of GBL? Well, come on down and hang out with me as we'll teach you how to battle in Silph tournaments.
Swipe right.
Swipe left. I mean right.
Looks like
I won't use a knock towel.
Swipe left if you play GBL.
Yeah, swipe left if you play GBL. I like that. Oh, that's so a meme. Sorry, I just hate GBL. I love Silph. The thing I love about Silph is that you're right. Up until the GBL and the pandemics and all this stuff, where we're all for Silph, definitely.
How is Silph curious now? Hashtag. Let's not do that.
Yes, Silph curious and the hashtag. Yeah. Silph. Dude, Silph's been great, like giving the GBL battlers that time to like transition into like what Silph battling is and stuff like that, allowing them not to spend all of their Stardust at the end of last year, just to use like the same kind of 3 as Zoomerl, Altaria, Registil, whatever. And as we grew, the battling community grew. But now we've got Pokemon. Now it's been a year of GBL. Forget their style. Let's get back into it where we can create these fun teams and these fun lines where you can dig down to like a Wormadram and just terrorize anything. That is what Silph was about. I loved Sinister Cup because that was the first one where you can use different move sets and stuff like that on Pokemon where it mattered. Hey, he's here.
Hang on.
And Adelian just left. Are they the same person? Are they the same person?
You're only allowed to have one person from the UK at a time.
On UK.
That's the rule. And let me change the...
That's great.
Adelian knew, he's like, oh, Brewer's here, and he just left the screen.
I'm out.
I hope this isn't freezing the stream.
No, I'm back. Sorry, I was confused. I'm an idiot. I'm here. Like, I can hear everything fine. How is everyone? Sorry, I was very late.
I'm hoping the stream hasn't frozen because I clicked change scene and it.
We're now in halves.
Oh no, yeah, because the windows.
It seems to have frozen.
Yeah, now it's gone down now.
It's all my fault.
Oh no.
Hovering over the subscribe button right now.
Wait,
hang on.
Who's the next
we should be coming now. Hang on. We should be coming up. Hopefully, I think. Please work.
Oh my blank. Josh, don't worry about it, man. We are still here. We are always just trying to get Matt Brewer in there while Steve's working on the technical stuff. If you guys can hear us, hype up and hashtag Silph Curious. Absolutely.
Silph Curious in the meantime.
There we
go.
Are we back?
Getting that going.
We're live. Yep.
We are back live. I see us live.
We're good.
Okay. Are we still in the same stream?
We are looking at our Zoom call right now.
Yeah, it's just
we are here.
Is this checking like the link hasn't changed? This is the magic
or anything? Behind the scenes.
Looks the same to me.
Okay, as long as it looks like it's still all the same thing. So we are back and we have now got Matt Brewer in the chat. For the record, we haven't got to play your video yet. We still have actually we still have 4 commanders to get through, so we better start moving now. But I mean, Matt, but just because you've graced the call and we all hate Tangent and Adelian so much, we're going to skip the queue here.
Wow. I'm okay with the hating bit. It's just that prioritizing Brewer of all people ahead of me. That's the bit I'm not cool with.
I've never met Tangent, but I'm sure he's a lovely guy. But Adelian,
Look at those eyebrows. He's like, I'm here for this self-curious dating site too.
Oh man, Matt, you have missed a lot. But
yeah, it feels like it. Feels like it.
Actually, that was based on. Are you here? Would you be here for like a full half hour? Because then we'll keep the order as was.
Yeah. I can stop around for half an hour.
Okay, yeah. We'll keep the order then. I believe Tangent was next up. Even though the Zoom order is now like moved around, I believe Tangent was next to go with a very interesting pick, to say the least.
Yeah. So I'm here to talk about why you should consider Steelits. So first, I'm just going to talk a little bit more about myself. Like, I'm the kind of person who I still have like that Nintendo 64 console in my apartment. Like, I'll every so often bring that out and play it. So I'm kind of the person who likes retro, and Steelits, that's retro. Let's not forget, Steelits was a huge star before the Galarian Stunfisk era, and then ever since Galarian Stunfisk came, it's just never been seen again. Like, it's just vanished into the abyss. But I feel like this is a moment where Steelits can kind of come back in. So the thing about Steelits is it has an absolutely insane stat product. Like, I don't think people remember how bulky Steelits is, but it's actually bulkier than Galarian Stunfisk. It has a higher stat product than G-Fisk. So this thing can take hits like crazy. It's probably the hardest thing to like completely hard counter in the meta, in terms of the fact that if you looked at the 1-0 shield scenario, so the shield, if you give Steelits a shield and your opponent no shield, this is like kind of the Kingdra scenario that everyone always talks about. In this concentrated meta, there's only one thing that consistently beats it, and that's Alolan Ninetales with Powder Snow. Other than Alolan Ninetales, everything else typically will fall to Steel. I mean, just a couple of IV ones, Poliwrath, Munchlax, and Escavalier are all sort of IVs. There are different Steelits as not Escavaliers that can kind of win or lose that 1-0. So Steelits is a closer. That Earthquake is real. Like,
yeah, like a top left close the battle, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it can. There's pretty much nothing that it can't at least put up a fight against. Of course, there's a lot of matchups you don't want to be in necessarily. So like, you have to kind of send it in, take it out. Hopefully it's not like stuck for too long of a period of time. But if you can set up the energy and shields right, you can close pretty much anything in the meta. And here's I think my favorite Steelits fact of the month. This is the coolest thing about Steelits. It can take 2 Leaf Blades from Shiftry and it's okay. And it can actually win the 1 shield against Shiftry in spite of the fact that Crunch and Earthquake are both resisted. Like, how is this possible?
Take that, Amanda.
Yeah.
I don't know what shift you have to say to that.
It's like, how is that possible? It's like, it's tanky enough to take 2 Leaf Blades, and Snarl's not going to knock it out after that point. Like, it forces Shiftry to use 3 different Leaf Blades to knock it out.
That is moronic. That is so dumb.
Yeah. Plus, I'm really a big fan so far as I was introduced to the idea of like the Steelits and Rosa Raid tour, which it's just so spicy. Like, it's a solid tour, but it's just also so like unexpected and fun. So if you're the kind of person who likes to try something completely different and be like, I'm the one who won with the Steelits is the pick for you.
Plus, it really hard walls that Noctowl that everyone is hating on so much.
It's a very.
Has this been an anti-Noctowl stream?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone's decided to change the Jellicent to a crappy move just so it can beat the Noctowl.
Yeah, everybody's bringing in Bubble Beam, Ice Beam now.
Help me out here.
No, do not join Team Noctowl.
I was going to say, outside of Toxatrote, you're pretty good against almost anything in the meta. Empoleon as well is pretty bad. If you can hit an Earthquake on Empoleon, though, you can actually knock it out. But that's a pretty bad matchup as well. But outside of like those 2 sort of, and Alolan Ninetales is a very bad matchup because you're relying on Dragon Tail. Unless you're running like Heavy Slam. If you wanted it a little bit spicy, instead of Crunch, you could go Heavy Slam to one-shot Alolan Ninetales.
You could.
But why not though? Why not though? Like,
well, normally in Ultra League, I usually run Heavy Slam for the Charmer countering, but I think your Crunch is probably a little bit more effective. You can still hit Alolan Ninetales with Earthquake at least. It's not so that just becomes a bad matchup. But as an alternate moveset option, there is Heavy Slam, and if you're really feeling spicy to try the Thunder Fang. I don't know if that really does anything for you, but it's an option.
Yeah, well, Daniel Payne just mentioned in chat, knockdown counter with Thunder Fang.
Yeah.
and with Thunder Fang, you win the mirror against the Steelix mirror with Thunder Fang.
Pretty much, yeah. It's weirdly
for
enough.
all those Steelixes you're gonna see, you will win the mirror.
I mean, Steelix is rank 2, I think, in on PvPoc.
Yeah.
If people
I've
start,
been looking at it, but the thing is, there's literally going to be. You said the only really problem is Toxicroak, but Toxicroak is going to be on everyone's team.
That's
so
true.
You're really making it almost a potential rock paper scissors scenario. But other than that, I do think it handles also Escavalier. Escavalier just kind of tears through. But
Yeah.
Sudowoodo as well, potentially.
Oh yeah, definitely. Although Sudowoodo is one of the ones that can't beat it in the 1-0 because Sudowoodo can't take an earthquake.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
that's
same
fair.
thing with Toxicroak though. Toxicroak can't take an earthquake. Escavalier can barely take an earthquake. That's why that one's IV dependent. So I do agree it does create an RPS situation, but I think everything in a way creates an RPS situation. Like Cradle is a really big threat, but Toxicroak's a huge threat to it. And Polion's amazing, but you have a huge RPS situation with Lantern. So everything kind of has that to it.
The with people mentioned Steelix with Thunderfang. How does that? I know that's very spicy, but a lot of players will see Steelix and bring in their water types to that. How effective do you think Thunderfang would be in situations where people panic switch in their Empoleon or their Jellicent commander or other water type? What happens then?
great question.
That's what I'm looked up right now. Actually, let's see what happens. So
It picks up Jellicent with Thunderfang.
Yeah, it definitely would pick up Jellicent. Just Crunch is going to do pretty well there.
Empoleon's still going to drown.
Bubble Beam, Ice Beam, Jellicent? Or does that work? If that works in this, guys, we're making strong cases here.
Yeah, so it loses to Empoleon in the 0-1 shields, but you do pick up the 2 shields, so you can just plow your way through an Empoleon.
And especially if that's your closer, right? Empoleon's a safe swap. If you know that you're putting in 2 shields on your commander like that, you can easily swap in the bring in that Steelix is the word I was looking for. The Steelix, and then have it do that if you'd like.
Well, technically, you're using Steelix to take out the Empoleon, so you can't really bring unless there's like a new rule where you can have like if you pitch Steelix, you get 2 of them.
Oh yeah. Does it how hard is it losing the 2 shields? I was saying if you know you're giving 2 shields to the Steelix, right, and you got to play around it to win the Empoleon matchup.
Yeah.
Could you do it as a swap in?
Well, Steelix can win the 2 shield with Empoleon, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if you're only concerned for a Marowak, well, I guess not for a Marowak, for a fire type, because there's so little of it, is that Empoleon. If Empoleon is so great in all of this meta, Spleen, haven't heard any Empoleon against Noctowl, comments from you, buddy. But
you resist the sky attack. So do you need more? Do you need more comments? You resist the sky attack. You resist the wing attack. But I mean, I'm not going to trash talk on Noctowl because I do love the mon actually. So I mean, I think that with Mandibuzz, that's the only two birds out there that can tank a blizzard. So I mean, you get to love the mon then. I mean. And
also, I know I'm kind of interjecting here, but I just couldn't pass up saying that Thunderfang is a really annoying move to see.
Oh, it's so annoying. So annoying.
Graphically, Thunderfang is one of the worst. So if you just want to maybe send your opponent into an epileptic seizure, run Thunderfang.
Is it against Silph Arena rules?
Sorry, David. I know you had more points.
Don't worry about the health issues behind it. Is it against rules?
I mean, you know how always like casters at the end of the battle when it's just hard, like, oh, okay, maybe if they put their phone down and go have a sandwich, they could win here. If you give your opponent a seizure, that can get you a win. But we are getting short for time, to say the least. So even though Steelix is easily the premierest of picks for your commander, we may have to skedoodle on to the next one, which was Adelian's pick, which... I'm sure he loves.
Yeah, I've actually. So I have used Bronzong in the past in other cups, and I've actually run it a few times with in practice Commander Cups so far. Admittedly, I think I'm not as good a battler to actually make complete use out of it, but it has its strengths. So in my view, people are going to opt for Hypno as a premier confusion user, with some exceptions, but generally Hypno would be very well featured. But Bronzong actually can win against Hypno in 0s and 1s, and it only loses in the 2 shields because Hypno can reach the Shadow Ball before Bronzong does, I believe. But, and here's a big but, a lot of the time when I've seen Hypno being run, sometimes people are going double Elemental Punch. And if that's the case, then GG's Bronzong is going to be able to beat that. And the reason for this is the new move that's been given, Payback. And Payback is really, really strong. It's a really nice move. It gives Bronzong a alternative to Bulldoze and allows it to hit other Psychic type users very, very hard. For a similar amount of energy, it's 5 confusions needed to get to Payback, in a similar fashion to Bulldoze. Downside is that by doing that, you do lose coverage against Alolan Muck, and that is quite potent. That's quite popular and potent in the Commander Cups I've seen so far. It is very much a meta pick, but you could also argue, well, you're going to lose that anyway, because even with Bulldoze, you're not going to KO an Alolan Muck. So there is that. Stats-wise, I am not the best when it comes. I love PvPoke, but I'm absolutely useless when it comes to using it. But I was playing around against the meta, and if you've managed to get yourself like a shield advantage, Bronzong can win against close to like 90% of the meta if it's got like 2 shields versus 1, I think. I'm trying to now bring up where I pulled it up. Yeah, 92% win rate against the Commander meta when you're a shield up, which means in the mid game it can be quite useful there. You've managed to win a shield by leading with Roserade and throwing off the Leaf Storm, and your opponent's panicked and gone, right, shield that. You swap out into Bronzong, and immediately you've got a big advantage there. You're obviously gaining a confusion with your switch in straight away. So there are places where I think Bronzong will be very strong. It also has another advantage where, again, against some of the other commanders like Noctowl, which is a anti-commander pick, that doesn't work against Noctowl. Bronzong works very well against Noctowl there. And I think it's just the sheer surprise factor of what that second move will be. Will it be Bulldoze? Will it be Payback? Could we see some even more unusual matchups where we get rid of Psyshock and we run a double like a Bulldoze plus Payback lineup where you have no bait, you just have 5 confusions to it. Any of that is a possibility, and that sort of Swiss Army knife potential means that you can maybe throw people off with something a bit more unconventional with Bronzong, and that's why it is a pick worthy of consideration.
I see Matthew Brewer shaking his head in disgust at what's just been said. Also, it beats Poliwrath, so that's why he's shaking his head, because it beats Poliwrath. Although Poliwrath is a good commander, don't get me wrong, but yeah. Anyway, sorry, Matt, you first, mate.
You can't be dropping Psyshock. You can't be dropping Psyshock, surely.
Well, confusion chips hard, and also like you're anything, because there will be situations maybe in the 0 shields, say against Toxicroak, where if you do have the Psyshock, you can throw it and KO it before it gets to a Mud Bomb. And I think that is a really tricky matchup that you have to be very, very mindful of, because Toxicroak does win CMP against Bronzong, and that Mud Bomb, while it doesn't KO, it does hurt quite a bit if you've already lost health. But I'm curious as to whether it'd be worth trying out more unconventional movesets with Bronzong to throw people off, and hence why I raised the point.
What would Bulldoze give you is the question, because I'm just looking. I think Bulldoze against the Steelix gives you like 7 more damage than Payback.
Really?
Yeah,
it's a really bad move.
Oh dear.
And just comparing the movesets, it doesn't look like it does. Like, there's not much changes regardless of what you're running as the second move in terms of the commander matchups.
Yeah,
they all say pretty much the same.
Bronzong Bronzong is also interesting against Alolan Ninetales. I mean, we can expect to see Alolan Ninetales almost everywhere, and Bronzong is an absolute wall to Ninetales. So you could run Powder Snow, you could run Charm.
Doesn't matter.
It's just going to tickle the Bronzong.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at Bronzong early on, and I thought it'd be interesting to see how much the Weather Ball from Roserade did to it. And I'm pretty sure that Roserade with a bullet seed. Roserade with a 1 bullet seed advantage can back-to-back Weather Ball fire it and kill it in the zeros.
If it gets that far.
So the Steelix Roserade core is coming back.
Well, here's the thing about Bronzong. Bronzong is the only steel type that doesn't lose to, or at least gets hard walled by the anti-tanks. It can do well against Poliwrath, Toxie. I think Escavalier is a bad matchup, but maybe Payback can help you out there. But I think it's the only one that can, let's say, deal with fighters and the flyers put together. Also has pretty decent matchups against some of the grass types. Should do okay against Credilli. Should do okay against Lantern if it's Spark Lantern. I think it has a place in the meta, but is it worthwhile to running it over Hypno? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big debate for a lot of people. Do I run this and not run Hypno with its versatility? And I think it was coming back to our earlier discussions just at the very start of this about is Hypno becoming a pick that is centralizing the meta too much, and would it have been better being either a commander or being banned, just to give a bit more prominence to the other confusion users? And I'm not just talking Bronzong here. We can go even spicier and say go for Claydol, which qualifies for that matter. I think Bronzong is probably. I'm going to be honest here. I think Bronzong out of all the commanders is going to be the spiciest one. I think it's the one that people are going to least expect. Now, if you as a player are comfortable with Bronzong because it has been popular in other cups and in other cups in the past, and you are very good at utilizing to its effectiveness, at the end of the day, a good player can make a Pokemon that's spicy work, and Bronzong definitely will fulfill that niche really, really well. So it's certainly one to consider. Either consider having or consider playing against it, because your Hypno's not going to do very well unless you're willing to commit 2 shields to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. And as you said, touching upon the point about Hypno being centralizing in the meta, I think most of the simulations are made with default IVs, which I think in more cases than not pushes Hypno away from being as dominant as it is in the meta, because a good bulky Hypno can flip matchups. As I said before, if you do bait in this meta, a rank 1 Hypno picks 90% of the meta. That's not okay. I think I've never seen a Pokemon with such a high win rate against the meta. Just
not
because
be banned.
Safe swap Frost last Sunrise Cup. It was 93% of the meta. If you got one extra Powder Snow,
but
just
this is everything. Flat.
Yeah, this is flat 90.
Yeah. This is I'm nothing.
I'm shocked again that they're allowing Hypno to play after Prismatic Cup when they had just purple, and it was like, well, I'm just going to use Hypno, and that's just going to take out all, like every purple Pokemon was in check. And again, they bring in poison typing, and poison typing unlocks grass types, unlocks bug type, but we can't use it because Hypno is so oppressive. Now I understand why you made Bronzong a commander. You want it to be, this dominant. You want people to start using other confusion users, but at the same time, like, you let Hypno just be on everybody's team. It's not like Bronzong. You might see Bronzong or you might see a Alola Marowak. Hypno, you will see. Like, there are other confusion users. Yeah, Claydol's down there, Gallade's down there. You could use other confusion users that will allow us to use these Venusaur, Roserade that won't just get hardwalled by a confusion right off the bat. Like, you can play with these. Like, Roserade's a new Pokemon that I want to play with, but that confusion is just going to chunk away that poison damage. That poison typing, like, it's ugh.
Yeah, but that said, I probably will not be running Hypno on my team. Yes, it does. It beats a lot of the meta, but it loses against a lot of the commanders, except the fighters. Noxal is close. Munchlax, it loses to the ghost types, loses to Steelix, loses to Empoleon.
We're not here to talk about Hypno. Mike,
Okay,
Sammy, we're short of time. We're not here to talk about it. We all know it's impressive. I'm just saying, because I really love Bronzong. I really wanted Bronzong to be a great commander here with the payback and the bulldoze and the side shock. Again, we're talking about movesets that Pokemon are all having all these different types of moves. This is an opportunity that Bronzong can shine. Other Pokemon can shine. Why are you not allowing us to play with these Pokemon? Oh, that's all.
Yeah, I was going to say, I kind of agree with that, because I think what's happening is you're seeing with Hypno being so popular, it's making Munchlax so popular as the commander pick because it's the strongest anti-Hypno, aside from like Alolan Mutt. But then you got kind of have like this Munchlax, Toxicroak, Hypno triangle. So I think the two that kind of centralized were both Toxicroak and Hypno. Toxicroak too, just Toxicroak. The only thing that holds it back is the fact that there's psychics in the meta, but like it's just such a sort of a protector for like a Munchlax, for example. It's just scores so well with it that everyone's going to pick Toxicroak too. So there's like two things you're going to see on like every team.
Exactly, and adding to that point is that if whenever there's a meta where Munchlax and Hypno are, they're always paired together. I think they're one of the most used pairings when Sorcerer's Cup came out, and similar pairing just recently in the Prismatic Cup, but it was just Snorlax instead of Munchlax paired with a Hypno. They just cover each other so well. It's a perfect core, basically, and it's very difficult to find a core breaker. Not out, but okay.
You can't run 6 Noctows.
Escavalier is a great core to this duo as well.
Mm-hmm. And just looking at the time again, we still have 2 picks to go through. One of which may battle Adelian's pick for the spiciest, as he claimed. I saw Matt show some visible confusion when he claimed that Bronzong may be the spiciest commander, because he's got a little bit of spice on his own there, down at below rank 30 on PvPoke. So Matt, if you want to kind of tell us why we should be using this Poliwrath.
I'm afraid I can't really tell you why you should be using it. Not honestly as a decent, self-respecting human being, which I occasionally claim to be. I can fight its corner though. It is legitimately my favorite Pokemon. So I thought I'll give it a good go. The problem with it is, right? I mean, obviously it's a fighting type, and it's weak to Hypno, but they're all weak to Hypno apart from Escav. So it's a bit of a lazy sort of point. So I'm not going to focus too much on that. The problem is not only is it weak to Hypno, but it's also taking up the commander slot, and it's not got a counter. To put it bluntly, when Steve offered me the choice of the 3 mons that were left to choose from, I earlier that day had seen Poliwrath pop up as a suggestion on PvPoke, so I was like, well, there must be something good about it. I'll try and remember what that was, and I couldn't remember what that was. But what in the past, what's been good about it is that it's got Ice Punch with Mud Shot, so it's been really fast to those, and it's been able to punish things like Tropius and Altaria. Obviously, those things don't exist here. So, what is the point in Ice Punch? For those of you who remember Sinister Cup, you remember that a lot of Poliwrath users were being run with the Dynamic Punch Hydro Pump, and that's how I'd be running it here. I think there's not a great deal here with huge closing power. We've talked about Munchlax with Body Slam Spam, Noctowl with Sky Attack, even things like Toxicroak. Mud Bomb, the spammy bit is such a dreadful move. Its saving grace is it's quick. There's not a lot with great closing power here. So there's Lantern as well, but that's quite walled sometimes. Between Dynamic Punch and Hydro Pump, you've got a lot of firepower to close out games, and as we've been said, well, as Sosa was saying, because of how dominant Hypno is, you feel like you can't run these poison types because you want to use a fighting type as well. Like in an ABB sort of line, you can perhaps use Poliwrath to draw out the Hypno, whack it with 80% with a Hydro Pump, maybe because it is quite bulky. Maybe get to another Dynamic Punch afterwards, scare the Hypno into shielding. And then you can save something like a Venusaur or a Roserade in the back with a shield advantage. Another thing that it does pick up is that because it's water type, Frostlass really struggles versus it because it has to go for the straight shadow balls, and it gets outpaced with the dynamic punches. So Frostlass isn't huge immediately, but we've seen already the Toxicroak Hypno core, which is really strong. I think we'll see Frostlass picking up. I think we'll see AWAC picking up. I think we'll see Jellicent picking up as the months go on, as the month goes on, to try and break that up. And with the exception of Jellicent, if you're running a Hydro Pump, Dynamic Punch Poliwrath, you can do the fighting type things and break up. That sort of, you can take out those core breakers as well. So maybe in a double fighting strat. I don't know. It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell, I'll be honest. But
I'm really disappointed that I didn't get to play the video you sent, because I was like, okay, Matt is going to be going for why Poliwrath is good here, and then the first minute of the video is just, here's why Poliwrath sucks.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was really trying to make sure I could jump on at the end of this, just so you didn't have to play that video. I sort of. As I emailed it over to you, and I was like, "Oh God, that's going to be out on the internet."
I'll put it somewhere after so that it never leaves. But
what I would say is, if you're building a team, and it's gonna plug some weird holes. Like, it's been made a commander for a reason. Just the Commander Cup's been out 5 days.
Something like that.
If it's been made a commander for a reason, I'm sure of it, right? There'll be someone out there who's figured out why that is, and what. The
Silph meta team just really likes Poliwrath. They were like, "Hey, we kind of 9 commanders is such a not round number. You know, it'd be funny if we."
Yeah, you can look nice on the graphic. You can get 2 rows of 5, can't you? But there's a reason that it's there. Someone out there will have figured out why it's there, and we'll be able to pair it with nice cores that are really weak to things, like weird combinations of things that Poliwrath covers perfectly. If you can figure that out.
I think Poly is there just because it's one of let's say the bulkier fighters on the bulkier side of things, and it, let's say against Munchlax and stuff, it does have matchups, and it's a dominant matchup, unlike the other, like for example Toxicroak, and against the steel types, you're not afraid of Drill Pick from an Empoleon because you outpace it in whatever shielding scenario. You get there, I think, 1 turn or something before. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's there, because it's basically an anti-baby and anti-steel Pokemon with a little bit of coverage for, let's say, the grass types. Because, of course, there are more cases than not Ice Punch tickles grass types, even though it shouldn't. But I think it has a place in the meta. Maybe a good safe swap, like how you saw it in the Fusion Cup, just baiting out the Altaria because people didn't know at that point about Sims. But I think it has a very good place, but probably going to be underutilized because of the presence of Hypno and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's pretty rough to use as your commander slot, as Matt said. It's like there's so many powerful Pokemon in that slot that you can bring, except for Noctowl, and there's just so many good ways you can play it without bringing Poly in.
Yeah, you need to tell me when your local community is hosting a tournament, please.
You're going to come in and sweep with Noctowl, are you?
I'm going to bring in that Jellicent Bubble Ice Beam Bubble Beam for. I mean, what does that mean?
All right, I'm inviting everyone around to mine, and we're all just going anti-Noctowl, and CountXevious is going to see what he can do. we'll
do
see.
we even dare roll a tournament with all of us commanders just doing a fun thing off the side?
Oh man,
I'd be
we all
down.
have to bring our one.
Come on. Maddie will definitely bring in Noxel.
Will I?
No, I don't think so.
He's Poliwrath ride or die. Yeah.
Do you know what? When I first saw this, I thought it's either Noxel or Munchlax. But the more it goes, the more I think about it, the more I don't want either of them personally. I know.
You want that Alolan Marowak. You want
the pick that we have not gone through yet that I'm going to have to speed run, the Escavalier. So the Escavalier has kept coming up over this conversation as like, except Escavalier. Escavalier beaten all of these fools. Let me just run down a quick little resume of what Escavalier can do. Beats Steelix, which is obviously really huge. Beats Bronzong, beats Shiftry, beats Munchlax, beats Empoleon, beats Hypno, beats Frostlass, beats Credilli, does happen to beat Poliwrath, I believe, as well. Beats Alolan Muck. And that's not a bad bit of win rate. So there are a few that it loses to, Noctowl being one. There are some matchups that you can flip that Noctowl. Sosa mentioned that, like, just straight acid spray, 2 shield from before. You can also, instead of running the Drill Run Megahorn, you can actually run Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is the flying move. And that in the 2 shield matchup also actually takes out Noctowl, I believe. And then Marowak is a bit more rough. There's really no way to cut it. Marowak is taking Escavalier to school. I even simmed it with like, okay, let's give him 6 extra counters of energy, still full health. Let's try and get some drill runs off. Didn't work. Let's give him acid sprays, maybe acid sprays first, and then gets the drill run through. But you can't get that far because the fire's been just melted down too fast. So you can't even get to an acid spray plus drill run. So it's I think there were some cases where if Escavalier burned 2 shields and Marowak burnt none, then you could maybe do something. If you land a drill run, it does like almost 2/3 of its health, so it does do something. But Marowak is a rough one. But pretty much everything else Escavalier has some seriously good play against. And again, it's one of those counter users which is really strong in this cup. It's got that steel typing, so it's got that extra bulk. It's got a whole lot of resistances going on, except those few weaknesses. And that is my pitch for why Escavalier is the sickest. And no one's allowed to disagree, because otherwise you're getting removed from the Zoom.
Well, I'm not going to disagree. I'm going to add to your point in a way. Like, if you look at the usages, like, I don't know if you guys, people are familiar with the Flash tournament servers where they do practice battles and stuff. I think the top most used Munchlax, as I think Amanda already picked up on it. And then it was Shiftry, and then Empoleon, and Hypno, etc., etc. So what do all of these have in common? They lose to Escavalier. That's basically it. But the bad side of it is that Escavalier doesn't have a lot of play against, let's say, the ghost types. For example, Jellicent just it walls Escavalier, and that's basically it. It is a very good commander, but it's one of those commanders that you have to hope and pray you get the matchups right. It's not as versatile as the others. It's very unidirectional. Okay, I need this matchup. If I don't get it, help. That's the only thing. But if you get it, you can wreck everything. So might enable.
Same as Noctowl, yeah.
No. My job, as I explained before, if you were actually on time.
Rip. It's what you get, Brewer, for working and being employed.
Saving the world one job at a time.
CountXevious strategy was losing with Noctowl and letting something else pick up the pieces by getting a bit of energy.
Yeah, I mean, it is basically it does okay in the one shields again. Most of its counters per se. It's a good Pokemon to use in an ABB. Basically, bait out your counters and then have another one lined up to sweep for you. And especially in a meta where you can have something like Credilli or Lantern in your team, which you can feed energy to, it's not too bad to use personally. That's what I think. But I know I still haven't gotten down to fully building a team around Noctowl yet. I will get to it soon.
It's too hard. Can't be done. Okay, but
we'll see.
So to close it out, I'm seeing one message in the chat from Lewis. Before the stream started, I'd settled on my commander pick down to around 3 or 4 mons. Now I have no idea what to use. So let's sort this out once and for all. Who is the best commander? And I figured out the best system for this without having to do a big old tournament, which we'll absolutely do later.
It's shouting all over each other.
Yeah, we all yell the best thing at once. Oh, I've tipped the hat. It's democratic votes here. We vote for your favorite commander that is not your own. So if you had to use one commander, except the one that you were manning, which one are you using? And we'll go in Zoom order now, which is different to how it was before. And Stumpy is first. Well, actually, I'm first up. But Shoddy last.
Oh no, you've done it to me.
Can we at least get some like Jeopardy music while we're trying to write the let me write this down. No, go for it.
No, I'll just delay it for long enough so that you guys have time to think.
Yeah, it's a fair tactic, that, to be fair.
The stall out strats.
It's just such a hard decision. Like, there's Poliwrath and Steelix, and then Noctowl is a compelling argument, but I've got my Bubble Beam and Ice Beam, so I'm fine. I can't get past it. I loved it for Prismatic, and even though it wasn't the best of the normal types, I went for Munchlax. I'm going to go Munchlax. It's so strong. I love it. And even though everyone slept on it in Prismatic, I enjoyed it. So I'm going to get Munchlax as my vote for if I had to pick one. Second.
I used Munchlax. Did like
close second, Shiftry. But yeah, Munchlax is going to be my go-to, I think.
First vote for Munchlax. Next up is Adelian. Cannot vote for Bronzong.
Well, I wasn't going to vote for Bronzong. But I can say that with experience of trying it, so not gone in blind. But no, my pick, I reckon, I'm gonna experiment with Jellicent and see how that goes. I've not tried it in a practice yet, but I am quite keen to do so. I've tried Empoleon, which I liked, and so that's probably at the second. Then I also do want to check out Shiftry as well, because Shiftry has always been beast whenever it's around. So Jellicent is the vote for me. Thank you very much.
Next up, SosaFlo. Who are we going for, buddy?
What is Jellicent with Bubble and Bubble Beam and Ice Beam for 300, please? My second one is Empoleon and Steelix. I have them down at the bottom too. I really just Jellicent itself being that ghost Pokemon, I really like the moveset it has. Again, it's another one of those, which moveset is it running? All of that stuff. It definitely opens up to have sort of spice to kind of give you more coverage. Out of all of the commanders, like, it's number 2. Like, the only thing I'm worried about is Munchlax, which I'm going to bring a counter user in, or a rock bug Pokemon to deal with that. Like, I'm not too worried about Munchlax, so I've got myself some coverage there. I love the way it feels, and just the debuffing is always great. The nuke potential is always great, and it's got a great moveset. Like, who doesn't? The queen looks so cute. Like, is it a queen or a king? I don't know these things. Are they king and queen? But like, I want a pink one. I think she would be adorable to play with, but the mustache is going to terrorize everything. My vote's on the mustache.
Fair enough. And Amanda is up next, I believe. Yeah, I'm looking at it right. It can't be Shiftry.
I know. I have to admit, I want to use Shiftry. I think there's merit to a lot of them, and I've been toying around with different things, but I will probably end up going safe and going Munchlax at the end, because in the end, it is a really good safe swap. And like we discussed, with Hypno being there, it's a really good answer to it, and it can do a lot of damage. So going with Munchlax.
And it's just so lovable.
And it's just so lovable.
But Spleen, where are we voting?
For me, let's say it's really important to break this Hypno and Munchlax score. So the main job of a commander should be to do so. So I'll go then with Shiftry or Escavalier.
Hey, I only get one vote. You've got to pick one.
Yeah, Shiftry then. Like I said in the beginning, for me, Shiftry and Empoleon, they are two very strong picks, and kind of slippery picks for the commanders.
Fair play. Tangent is up next.
Yeah,
and
I was won over by the argument of putting the baby in charge. So
Bro,
This is such a great argument.
Yeah, it's just such a strong argument. It's hard to go against. Munchlax is just like probably the safest pick you can make in this stuff. It does well against almost everything, like well enough that either you're going to win the matchup or you're going to take something low enough in health that you can sort of scoop it up with the next thing in and get like an energy advantage for yourself. So it seems like Munchlax is always going to provide you value, even if it's not going to win you a specific matchup.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt, I know you've missed most of the conversation, so you'll have to pick up bits and pieces, or you can just go for Escavalier because that's one you did here. But tell us, other than Poliwrath, which I know you must be
free points.
heartbroken
free
about.
Points, Steve.
Was the question what I think's the best or what I think I'm going to use?
If you had to go into a tournament right now, where are you going?
Empoleon.
Very strong pick, and Blizzard is on the table. But
with such confidence as well, straight away.
Well, you know why, Delian.
I know why. I've had to deal with Brewer in a practice tournament with Empoleon. Let's be straight, folks. I did not appreciate it. None of you will either. I certainly did not.
Yeah, no one appreciates.
You may be straight, but I'm self-curious.
Hashtag self-curious.
No one's winning from that. I'm gone. That's it. We just mic dropped. That was so beautiful. That was great.
Thank you, folks. I'll be here all night or until the stream runs out, which apparently is in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget. I keep having to check. I should really just write this down in front of me or something. But JigglyDad is actually next, and his commander is in the lead, but he is not allowed to vote for it. So where does Jiggly have to go if there is no Munchlax?
I'm won over by Escavalier, a counter user that frees me up to not have to use Toxic Croak like everybody else, and beats my man Munchlax and Amok, and I think those are pretty big. So I'm won over by that. But I mean, I'm confident knowing that I seem to have both won the vote, and I have completely successfully steered the world towards the wrong moveset on Jellicent. So I've derailed the stream, won the vote. My job here is done. Chaos.
And you didn't win your cup? I don't understand.
Oh dear.
Don't forget this man lost with a Munchlax less than 24 hours ago. It did not go well.
But he sold everybody on Munchlax. JigglyDad has
I'm a better politician.
Put a suit on, friend.
I'm very happy that you've been here to destroy the base of this stream, Jiggly. It's been a pleasure. But CountXevious is the second last vote, because there's still a chance that Munchlax loses here. Still a chance, depending on. But
don't do it.
Do it.
Well, I gotta go with Shiftry here. To be honest, it does beat most of the Pokemon that have been told here, and I know that Escavalier doesn't like to tank a foul play, because I did run it in a practice game and I did not like it. I was the Escavalier. so yeah, I think Shiftry is a very good core breaker and it will do really, really well. That's my vote.
Okay, so just to go over the totals, we have Munchlax at 3, Jellicent and Shiftry both at 2, and Escavalier and Empoleon at 1. So if I were to vote for either Shiftry or Jellicent, we'd get a tied victory here. And that just doesn't sound very decisive, does it? I was weighing up. It was either going to be Shiftry or Munchlax. They were the two that I wanted to go for.
But you got to change your mind and go Rock Smash AWAC.
But you could go with Shiftry, and then everyone can re-vote between the two.
You know what the winning team is, Steve. Don't let them sway you. You know where to go.
I know where to go, and I'm putting my vote for Poliwrath. And with that, we have a victor. Munchlax is the greatest commander. Everyone, if you don't use Munchlax from now on, you're a fool. Everyone is mandatory required to use Munchlax now in the entire Silph community. Let everyone know, Munchlax or bust. So, yeah, with that, that is the end of our stream, other than saying thank you to all of the wonderful people who came here, because it has truly been a very fun time. I've enjoyed myself over the past 2 hours and a bit. So to close us out, we'll go in that same. No, we'll go in reverse order this time. We'll start with CountXevious. Just tell us where to find you. I guess MyPvPAcademia obviously has we're going to have a triple up.
We're all over.
They've really spread themselves out to get the maximum coverage here. But yeah, let us know where we can find you. And only one person followed the rules, Adelian, and sent me the links, which I still didn't even put in because I forgot. But as soon as this stream ends, I will put everyone's links in the description below, so they'll all be there. And yeah, so CountXevious, tell us where to find you. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
Definitely. Thanks for having us. And you can definitely find us in YouTube under MyPvPAcademia. It's very simple. If you watch anime, you should know what the reference is. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. And I will give it to the next person who has to speak.
Which is Jiggly. The Jiggliest, the winner of the stream, if you can say.
That's right, the winner. I mean, if you wanna see the winner, and you can take me down a peg by watching me actually battle, because I'm about as bad as you get these days, because I focus more on actually hanging out with people, putting out content, holding tournaments. My practice time is so low, and I'm trying to make myself practice so that our new faction, Swell Sprouts, can rise victorious in Silph factions. We're really excited for that, but come to JigglyDad.com or just my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/JigglyDad. Goes to the same place. Follow me on Twitter, JigglyDad. You know what to do. And yeah, drop on by.
Hit all those buttons. And next we have Matthew Brewer, who we didn't get a proper shout out, a proper recap at the start of the stream. So you can tell us a bit about what you do as well. No swears.
No, yeah, I'm on that. Yeah. It took me a while to think about what I was going to say, but basically, you find me on YouTube, and I talk with people about why people use Hypno all the time, and that's about it. So yeah, you can search me on YouTube, and you'll find me. Occasionally, I put my battle footage up when I've not been awful. But yeah, so a lot of it's like meta discussion stuff. And if you like people complaining about Razorleaf and Charm, you can find me on Twitter as well.
Perfect. And everyone is just using Hypno just to spite you, Matt. That's it. That's what they're doing. Just to take.
I don't mind Hypno. I don't mind Hypno. I don't think it's too bad, to be honest. But
it's definitely not too bad. It's pretty good. And well, yeah, that's the problem. But
yep, that's what Bronzong says.
Bronzong still trying to get in there. But yeah, Tangent, you know the drill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can find me lurking around on Twitter, DoTangent444. You can find me lurking around on Discord. You can on the Do Stadium PvP. You can find like my articles and stuff on the Do Stadium. I had the one that went up this morning talking about the new community day. Me and the man, the myth, and the legend, PvPoty himself. So you can go read that and sort of learn what Blast can do for you.
I mean, just because apparently we've been here the entire time the community day announcements have been live, so yeah. I need to go look at what is even going on at this point.
The move is terrible.
Yeah, it's an improvement. It's made Altaria better because it's better than Dragon Pulse and it's better than Dazzling Gleam, but it doesn't make like Altaria way better, which in my opinion is actually better for PvP because Altaria is already one of the strongest Pokemon, and you don't need some data that makes Altaria like the best thing you will ever use.
Yeah, because we already had that early on in GBL.
Plus,
when PvP started.
Yeah. We also have to remember from like a competitive standpoint, whenever these like amazing moves are locked behind community days, like there's just adding another thing that new players struggle to get into the scene with. Whereas this is almost like a nice one because it's like it's nice to have, but if you didn't have it, you'd be okay. Like it maybe picks up 2 matchups where it's a little bit nicer to have that option. So
very fair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was like Bullet Seed Shiftry. It was like nice day in a way because it gives you an alternate option. You can play it, but if you didn't have it, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay, but next up is Spleen, MyPvP number 2.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just to complement on what Abby I've said earlier, we are also on Twitter.
MyPvPAcademia, and sometimes we Twitch when we have time. And thanks, Steve, for setting this up. It was really nice to be here. Looking forward to this cup and to chat again with all of you.
Yeah, cool. It has been a lot of fun. I've very much enjoyed this. But Amanda is immediately up as to round out the trio.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, to piggyback on what Spleen said, speaking of Twitch, we are doing a Twitch stream, small plug, on Friday for the Gym Breakers World Cup. It is the finals between Spain and the USA. They're both, this year, the USA has been 4-time winners. They're going for the 5th, and last season, Spain was 4-time winners. So this is really going to be epic. And I have to say, without too many spoilers, this is the most intense, closest matches against some of the best players in the world. Come check it out on Friday.
Oh dear, there is some danger coming up. Battle of the Giants. But next up is the sociest of the flow, who actually was the man who came up with the idea for this stream. So, mad props to him, because I would have had a much less fun time for this. Well, I would have been asleep if it weren't for him. So, pros and cons.
Happy to keep you awake, sir, giving us the best content.
But SosaFlo.
I'll take it. I'm SosaFlo from TeamRocketPvP. You've seen us on Twitch. We do the Indigo League Saturday 10 a.m., Sunday 10 a.m., where we get Mazer Gaming, Elite Four, Cool Cats, Thunder Lions, Poker Battle Tower, and Regicide PvP, all battling in a wonderful league. Then we do Friday Night Fights, where we get 2 casual teams battling it out for some fun battles there, in-team drafts, all these bands, all sorts of crazy Pokemon coming out. We also do Silph stuff as well throughout the entire time on our YouTube channel, Team Rocket Academy. We've done nothing but provide Silph content. These last few weeks have been the Indigo League, but we're so excited to have Commander Cup back up, because I definitely do. We'll be doing videos of every single commander. And the first one I had to get out because I loved it so much when I first saw it was Steelix, but it just sucked. My Polymers just lit me up with anything. I was like, I was really expecting a Poliwrath from Polymers, but no, he took me out with Shiftry and all this stuff. So I didn't have fun with it, but there are great ways of doing it. Thank you, Tangent, for showing me the new way of it. And I can't wait to make that video to provide all that proper information. But we at Team Rocket Academy absolutely are about Silph. And I just wanted to say, Steve, thank you. I know I threw the idea out, but all of these content creators here are great, down-to-earth analysts who know their shit and are passionate about this game, or else they wouldn't be here at 2 a.m. in Australia, 10 p.m. in Belgium, 9 p.m. in England, 10 a.m. in California, and 4 p.m. Is it 4 over there with you, Jiggly? 4 p.m. in the battlers, an analyst here. I thank you guys all for doing this with us. Steve, thank you for hosting this, man. But yeah, you guys, I'm just so happy to be here with you guys. This is such great stuff.
That would be beautiful to end on, but we still do have 2 people to shout out. I have to pee.
Take notes, so last next time.
Yeah, we'll leave him for last. He can close out the stream. But Adelian, yeah, that's right. I remembered one ahead. Still had to check though. But yeah, tell us where to find you.
Yeah, if you want to find me, so I have my own Twitch channel where I do primarily Silph content, practice. I've done already 2 or 3 practice Commander Cups, so you can watch me embarrass myself there on the recent videos. I also am the admin for London's Finest, and we host Britain's largest live remote tournament, which has been 7 rounds in each cup this season. So if you need a 7-rounder and you want it to be nice and quick, jump in to invite.gg/London's Finest PvP. And also you can find me on Go Stadium as well, because I'm one of the tournament managers, and actually hosted another 7-round remote in the Battle Frontier, or in essence the extended format tournaments that Go Stadium hosts. So I manage one of the tournaments there. So do check me out, do check my community out, and do check out Go Stadium as well. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Steve. Sorry.
I need kudos, please. Give me.
Yeah. Just shove a few more kudos, dude. There you are. Yeah.
Isn't that a granola bar? Someone throw granola bars at him.
Just send it in the mail. Just write Australia on the envelope. It'll get here. But speaking of Australia, Stumpy, the other man who has woken up at an incredible hour to be here with us today, tell us where to find you.
Yeah, so you can find me over at twitch.tv/Stumpy2517, and over there I do primarily GBL at the moment, but do dabble in some Silph scrims here and there, and still trying to get a little bit of self-content out there because there's not enough of it on Twitch these days. And yeah, mostly on Discord as well, over with Arena of Charlotte and ATA. So the Aussie Twitch Amigos over there with Steve. So most of the places you find me over on Twitter as well, Stumpy_2517 as well, because I used to have my own account, but then I forgot it. So the underscore is now primary, but yeah, so that's pretty much what I do. And yeah, mostly streams, but yeah, thanks very much, Steve. As always, it was pleasure and definitely worth getting up for. So cheers, and hopefully we'll have successful month of Commander Cup, eh?
I'm looking forward to it when we all use Munchlax as is required.
But, not allowed to.
But you can find me right here where you are watching. So don't forget to hit that crush that like button on the stream and smash that subscribe button. And ding a ding 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 the notification bell, blah blah blah. But yeah, seriously, thank you to everyone for being here because it has been a lot of fun. I know some of you have to head off pretty quick smart after we hit the stop button. So yeah, just really appreciate everyone for coming out, and thanks to everyone for hanging out in the stream as well. Because if the viewers weren't here, then it would just be the 10 of us ranting onto ourselves, which would still be fun nonetheless. And I'm glad we can all unite against Noctowl. So with that said, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, especially that subscribe one. And I have to look over here to end the stream. So bye. Oh, and unfortunately, YouTube doesn't have raiding on. Or you can raid, but you have to raid like a premiere of your own video that you haven't like released yet. So that's a downside, but I'm sure YouTube will get there one day, maybe. But yeah, see you next time.